What is up, Cincinnati Bengals talk? Happy Friday night. Andrew Fox Miller just showed up, which is why we're a minute late. So blame Andrew and his goofy shirt. With this stream is not brought to you by Buffalo Trace, but it is because that's what I'm about to pour right now as we start this stream. I know a lot of you have asked over the past, 6 months, 8 months, certainly during the 2023 season when we were doing our next Bourbon stream. And so Andrew and I aren't in the same place, but just proof that Bourbon is at least being had in the Rapine household on a Friday night. A lot to discuss when it comes to Bengals free agency thoughts, offseason, and this is your time to ask any question you want, from why Andrew's still wearing the goofy shirt that I just made fun of, or why we haven't seen any bourbon being poured from Andrew. Because the reason I picked Buffalo Trace is because I know I have another bottle of Buffalo Trace at Andrew's house waiting on me, because he so graciously picked one up for me about a week and a half ago, and I haven't seen him yet. But what's up, Andrew? I'm going to stop talking now.
I mean, really, like you still somehow found a way to just monologue your way into this. We got to talk about the bourbon, the shirt. You want to address everything in the cube behind you while we're at it? Like, just
no, I actually think the hat looks good.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I could have done that. I was like, let's make fun of his shirt because the hat looks good. So there you go.
James, I'm just excited to first of all, I do have a bourbon. I've got it in a little bit of a vintage glass here.
There we go. See, I'm rocking the Rivertown. You know me.
Mine broke. You know this. I sent you
in the sink. You were washing
on the
it,
granite.
Right?
Yeah, on the countertop. It broke. Yeah, it's not like it wasn't quality material. It's glass. It broke. But yeah, no, I got a bourbon. Looking forward to just doing this and not having to
fumble. Andrew Miller. It's like Jeremy Hill over here. What are you doing breaking your Rivertown glass? I might be able to I think I have an extra.
What do you want? What do you want? A 30-second delay? Where did that even? I brought that up like the last live. That's how long ago it was.
Yep, it was. I've got that same glass, Andrew. Oh, look at that. Someone has it. All right.
I got to
get your questions in. We are going to get to a ton of questions. So that's what this is for. Look, you 42,000 plus of you are subscribing to this channel, and we haven't done a live in a while. And James,
this is all references to my shirt. Don't you worry, James.
Yeah, I know. I knew
James
there
doesn't
would be
give. He doesn't give.
I knew there would be people that would back you, so I was like, all right, this is good.
This was bargained, but it was it was a bit expensive.
It looks so expensive. All right, let's start here. What would your best case scenario be for the Bengals?
You're making me think right now. What are we doing?
There we go. Okay. The best case scenario is them signing Chris Jones to a 3-year, $35 million per year deal, right? Something like that.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be? It's not going to happen.
Great. What else are we going to throw out there?
It would be great. No, but this is why we do that. I haven't mentioned that on any of our videos. That's the whole point of the live, is to throw out any scenario that's come to mind. I don't know if you guys saw Justin Madubuike agreed to 4-year, $98 million deal. Andrew was buying that shirt and making sure it fit properly, showing up late to the stream. So he didn't see that. But yeah, the Ravens defensive tackle got paid. So Christian Wilkins, if you want him, you're talking 4 years, $100 million, $76 million guaranteed. That's probably what it's going to take to get him. And he could have multiple offers in that range. Me personally, I like Madubuike more, but he gets the deal done before free agency starts. He was franchise tagged, so it's smart of him to get it done.
I'm looking here. I'm looking at some of these.
You zoning, Andrew?
I am. This is a muscle I have not used since August of 2023, James. Trying to pay attention to the comments, the chat, because we are paying attention. At least I am. As you can see, I'm just not in with James right now as he's asking me these scenarios. I got to get into a rhythm here. Let's see. What do we got?
It's okay. I can just give you my scenarios. I just figured you'd want to chime
I
up.
do. I do need to stop you from talking for 15 minutes straight.
No, here we go. Sheesh. Interior defensive line getting paid. It is, and it's going to cost. What I think is interesting about it, I'm sure we'll talk about DJ Reader a lot. What's DJ Reader's market? I certainly have no idea. I have no idea. I'm sure the Bengals made a push to keep him. Lou Anarumo was pretty adamant last week about wanting to keep DJ. And I think just talking to anyone around the organization, we had Dan Hort on yesterday, and hopefully you watch that interview. If not, after the live's over, go watch it. It's really good stuff from Dan.
It was.
Everyone around the team wants to keep DJ. And so I just wonder, money-wise, He's going to hit the market. I don't think they're going to get a deal done before Monday at noon because he wants to test his market. He wants to see what his market is, but can they keep him? I think that's a big question mark for sure.
I'm just adding color to what you're saying here, James.
You're good.
Look at us. We're figuring it out. We're learning how to do lives again. It's been so long.
Oh, man.
Okay, just because
you showed up late to this one.
Oh, I didn't show up late. I was on time, and I know that is to be late, but
7:29 late.
Just 28. Just couldn't get the camera working. So, James, we're gonna peel behind the curtain here for a minute. Here, I'm starring things. If you can go to that tab, and that'll kind of draw your attention to some things. That way, I'm not having to stop everything you're saying when you're talking nonstop.
Oh, there's just a couple good ones here.
We need to keep all the guys they put in this guy in Bengals cups. I have them all back here. I know you can't see them on camera right now, but they're all here. We could go through those. That's a potential scenario. We'll see.
This one's fun because I don't want to get to the Frank Pollock yet. I will get to some Frank Pollock.
I know that's for late. I was tabling that. Yep.
Yeah. Like we just started this live. Like let's just. Well, I don't want to start first taking it right now.
You don't want to be like stone cold sober, but you don't want to be like complete inhibitions gone on the Frank Pollock. You just got to get in that sweet spot. It's
my
like golf,
God,
you know?
the Frank. I mean, there are two.
Don't go down there. What are you doing?
There are two villains for the Bengals right now. It's Frank Pollock and Dax Hill. Those are the two people that just cannot win in Cincinnati right now when it comes to the Bengals. Rick Clark, your bet for the free agent the Bengals give $10 million to: Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, or Noah Fant. It's a good question because Noah Fant's going to get 10 million plus. The fact that the two tight ends at that I thought top of the market outside of Fant, Dalton Schultz, clearly the number one guy in free agency, doesn't get the free agency, gets paid. And then today, Hunter Henry will make roughly 9 million per and up to 10 million with incentives on a 3-year deal. Look, Noah Fant, it's going to be 10 plus million. I don't think they go there. I don't think they're in on any of these guys, Henry, Barkley, or Fant. I think Fant, they would love to get him, but I think they would be in like the 321 or 3 for 24, maybe 8 million per. I think it'll just be too rich for their blood and they'll look elsewhere. That said, what I would do, I think of those three guys, the best player, now there's question marks, but the best player at this stage is Saquon Barkley. And I think looking at the way Christian McCaffrey kind of transformed, you could certainly make the argument of, all right, he was really injured over the past couple of years of his Carolina tenure, and then he gets to San Francisco, and what happens? He's dominant again. And you could make that argument for a guy like Saquon that he could be this explosive pass-catching back and all of those things. I think I'm in the minority there. I don't think a lot of people are on board with the Saquon thing. The Bengals aren't on board with that either. I don't think they'll pursue any of these high-end running backs, and there's a ton of them. That's part of why the Joe Mixon saga is what the Joe Mixon saga is because this is a loaded free agent running back class, and there's just a lot of guys, and so there should be good value in the free agent class. But that said, I would say none of the above. I do think they will call Noah Fant and express interest. I just think he'll be out of their price range for what they want to spend on a tight end that's unproven. It's not like he's put up huge numbers, and so you're banking on a lot of things to go right if you sign Noah Fant. Andrew, you're muted right now.
Yeah, I know. I was because I knew you'd be talking for a while, so I thought,
hey, I was just trying to give a little color.
Yeah, that's fair. The comments here, I'll flash one up here. I want you to start taking pics on these, but I'll kind of lob a few here real quick.
Do you think their free agent, the Bengals will get is almost guaranteed to get?
We'll use the term guaranteed loosely here. Who are you? What's one that you feel like, man, that's was spelled wrong and it threw me off. Yeah, the one that they're guaranteed to get. Yeah. That's tough. I think you could make the argument for a few different ones. The defensive tackle, I think they're most likely to get. I think they're going to prioritize T.R. Tart. Maybe I'm wrong on that. He's 27 years old. They put a waiver claim in on him before or during the season when he was released by the Titans. The Texans had priority. So they were interested in him midseason. Now, was that because they were desperate? They had just lost DJ Reader and they needed something, so they went after him? Or are they really interested? He fits their profile, 27 years old. He's not pushing 30 yet. You could offer him a 3-year deal. I think that's the one that makes the most sense there. And then the one that, to me, I've been in on the whole time. And I just think, regardless of Mixon, honestly, but it'll probably go with it. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire makes too much sense.
former first rounder, 25 years old, not a lot of wear and tear, best friends with Joe Burrow, really tight with Jamar Chase. And he's going to fit in the locker room. Whatever role you need him to do, he will do. He'll be your third back. Oh, he can be your first back. He can be your second. He can be part of a committee. He's just a really, really good dude to have in the locker room. And so where he ends up on the depth chart, I don't know. But I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that's a guy I'm targeting. I would sign him on Monday. I would get it agreed Monday. I would call him, and it would be pretty simple. And so we'll see if that happens. But that's the one I would say for sure.
What's that, James? You said Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Can we do this, James? Can we stop the Mixon slander? What's wrong with you, James? James, come on, James. Why are you doing this, James? I don't have to get into this right now. I'm just gonna color.
No, it's fine. There is no Mixon slander. I think that's what's so interesting about this. If the Bengals cut Joe Mixon, well, guess what? He's getting the same fate that Giovanni Bernard got, that Andy Dalton had, that so many Dre Kirkpatrick had. That so many of these guys that have played multiple years for the Bengals that they just didn't finish their final year of their contract. The reason why you would move on from Mixon is because he is being paid more than his market is. He will not make $6 million, and that's what they would save cap-wise. He has over an $8 million cap hit, but let's just use the $6 million figure. He will not get $6 million for this season if they release him. There's a reason no one's saying trade Joe Mixon. There's not a market for him at that contract. So when I see all of these free agent running backs out there, and I'm not even saying Clyde, because Clyde's really low end for when it comes to free agent running backs. Zach Moss is low end, but I think Zach Moss is a really good player. You could find really good players that aren't Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, the big name guys that are going to cost a ton. And I think that's why they'll go the route that I expect them to go and move on from Joe. But if they don't, then I'll cover him just like I did last year, and things will be exactly how they were last year. Nothing's going to change. It'll be fine.
Kane, I saw your comment. Kane suggested a celebrity boxing match once Mixon retired, and I thought that your answer to this kind of would have addressed that. But
celebrity. We're in different weight classes now. I have to drink a little bit more bourbon to get in his weight class.
James, the slander. I need a button. I just need to call you out, keep you under control. Wow, you're just coming in so hot. That's sarcasm.
Thanks. Good God.
You never know on this topic sometimes with you. Not
with
you,
me,
like with the perception.
Yeah, it is a sensitive topic. People still think he's a top 5 running back, and he's just not anymore. Like there are people that think that he was their best offensive player last year, and that's so dumb. Jamar Chase has a pulse. He was out there. He was on the field, and I'm not even going to say Joe Burrow. Obviously, when Joe Burrow's healthy, he is. So.
Get James under wraps. That's what I'm here for. So it's actually
get James under wraps.
Yeah. It's on my.
That's
resume.
impossible.
You go on my LinkedIn.
Impossible.
That's one of my job descriptions. It's one of the qualities I have. Let's see here. We got some start stuff. I know I'm be
real quick. Because this is about boxing. I hope it's entertaining. I'm gonna watch. I have Netflix. I'm gonna watch. The moment the trailer, the promo, or the announcement, whatever you want to call it, came up, I'm like, oh man, I have to watch. Now I do wonder how will it be staged at all? Because if not, and I know Jake Paul's talented, like Mike Tyson might knock him out. Like Mike Tyson, he's still really strong, and he's not going to want to go out there and get his ass kicked. So interesting. I'll watch though, no doubt.
Thanks, Reggie. You know, I know how to give. I give. You give. This guy gives.
I knew people would love it. See, that's it. I'm the villain when it comes to your
called
shit
it. You were all supportive of it. Look at you.
No, the opposite. I made fun of it,
and I knew lunch people per diem on this shirt, and
I knew people would be like, "Oh, Andrew, that shirt's awesome." A lot going on that shirt.
We'll just quickly wrap up a little bit of running back talk because it's going to come up again, but I'm just kind of
it'll come up 4 times over this live. Yeah. No, I agree. Zach Moss is perfect because he's going to cost like $2 to $3 million, something like that. He's been part of a committee. He's been a bell cow on certain weeks if you need him to. But what I think the Bengals want to do is they want to get cheaper at running back. They want to get more explosive. They want to get younger, and they don't want to necessarily be all right, you're the passing down back and you're our running back. Last year, towards the end of the year, Chase Brown got involved, but they really just had a running back. I said it all through the first 10 games. He was just getting every single touch. He was getting a ton of snaps, and that's just not sustainable. I think what's probably going to happen is they sign someone like a Zach Moss, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, someone like that. They move on from Joe. They have Chase Brown, and then they draft a running back. And you may see a three-headed monster or three-headed rushing attack, whatever you want to call it, where it's a true running back by committee, where you see multiple guys out there doing the same thing, where it's not a tell. One's a runner and one's a pass catcher. No, I think they want to be as interchangeable as they can, and they'll look for versatile backs in the draft and in free agency to do so.
Craig, thank you. It's gonna. The shirt's on loan. It's gonna help pay for that. I appreciate that.
What do you think T. Higgins would look like? Like the contract?
Let me see if you commented prior to that. Feel free, Craig, if you want to elaborate a bit. Yeah, my guess would be contract, but I'm just double checking to see if that was a continuation of your comment here.
I appreciate you, Craig. I could talk about the contract and then stop me. No, I think the key with T is probably guaranteed money, and the Bengals, they know what they'll guarantee T over the next 2 years, and that's what makes it really interesting. I was reading Joel Corey on CBS Sports. I think it was yesterday. It was this week for sure. And he's a former NFL agent. And he's really good at these contracts and different things. And he said that he wrote like the 10 franchise tag players, what their goal should be, what contract they should get. And T, it was a 3-year, $70-something million deal. And if you're the Bengals, you have him for 1 year, 21, nearly 22. Next year, it's 26 if you franchise tag him again. You know the number. So that's 2 years, $47 million. Like in their head, they may just view it that way. If he plays really well, we can go year to year with this guy for 2 years. And that's it. Unless we get blown away by a trade offer, that's what we'll do. And we'll have 2 years of his prime, age 25 and age 26 seasons. If they did get a deal done, what I think it would be is they would try to go 4 years, $90 million. And they would want that fourth year. And the difference here is guaranteed money. I think that T's representatives would want more than that $47 million guaranteed. And the Bengals look at it and say, well, we can go to year with you and we know what we're paying. It would be $47 million. The downside for the Bengals is that's a direct cap hit. You can't spread that money out. So this year it's 21.8 million, boom, right against the cap. At the same time, they don't have to commit to him long-term with the injury history. If they want to pivot because they're also paying Jamar and Joe, and who knows, maybe they find the right receiver. So there are some reasons why it makes sense flexibility-wise. What I hate and what I wouldn't want, especially if he plays well, is you tag him and then he leaves next offseason in free agency. That sucks. We've seen it with Jesse Bates. That is not good. Drafted, developed, second-round pick, really good. T plays a more valuable position than Jesse, so losing him for nothing would stink. I assume he meant the contract, Andrew.
Yeah, no, sorry. Here we go. I found it.
Oh, trade. I got you. Well, it's interesting because to me, and I wrote this for All Bengals earlier this week, Monday. If I'm the Bengals, I would be trying to use T as a trade piece to go up because there isn't a ton of depth in this draft. Like I don't think rounds, like they got 2 more 6th round picks today, comp picks. I think that the first 2 days there's a lot of talent, and then after that it's going to dwindle a bit, and you're not going to find a lot of guys that are going to do what the Bengals want, which is find instant impact. And so if you could use 18 and T to get to 7, I'm just use Tennessee because it's easy, or 18 T and 1 more pick, a 5th rounder, and you get to 6 with the Giants or 4 with the Cardinals. I think you do it and you take one of those receivers or you take Joe out, you get one of these premium players. So that's what I would try to do. A lot of people have thrown out you get Carolina's 33rd overall pick for T plus a 4th or a 5th. I think the Bengals would be open to that potentially, but I'm not sure they're actively shopping T because again, I do think that they view the franchise tag next year as a realistic option considering what their wide receiver market is. 26 million for 1 year of T. Higgins. Let's say he's coming off of a 1,300-yard season. Maybe him and Jamar combined for 3,000 yards. That'd be lofty, but it could happen, right? And so him and Jamar have huge years. You have Jamar, his 5th-year option, or you have an extension done with him. If you know you could get T for 26 million, I think they would be open to it. So a trade, I think it's pretty unlikely. An extension is probably even less likely at this point ahead of this season.
Let's go quickly on the topic of safeties. I'm digging back. I know I'm going back a ways on these comments, but keep them coming. Appreciate it, everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna get to a ton. The bourbon has just started here, and we will get to a ton. Although my ice is melting quick, Andrew. My goodness, I should have brought one of the bourbon balls. I didn't. I just put a few cubes in it, so that's a bummer.
Ice. Who's talking about ice?
I'm a big fan of cold liquid.
Yeah,
I like cold liquid. It's nothing to do with I like bourbon without ice, but I just like it cold. I like cold water. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink hot chocolate. I really don't drink many warm drinks. Anyways, I'm trying to think. I don't really like soup. Anyways, that's the beauty.
I'm coming back to Swooty in a second here. What are you drinking? That's a good question. Because we'll take a quick breather. Not breather. And by the way, if ads are
little Buffalo Trace right now, little Buffalo Trace. If you want to reach out, Buffalo Trace, a bottle or two, that wouldn't be bad. What are you drinking, Andrew? I don't even know.
Eagle Rare.
Little Eagle Rare.
Yep.
That's a subtle flex, man. What you doing? Don't make me open my Blanton's.
I came in with this shirt. You think I was coming in with
don't make me open my Blanton's over there. You trying to flex? Well, flex.
Oh my God.
What you trying to do?
Listen.
What you trying to do, Andrew?
Sorry, the comments caught me here for a second. Yeah. If ads are popping up during this live, I just realized I did not look at those settings. But hey, look, I probably could have made it more conservative on it. I have no idea what's running, so apologies if they interrupt us, but it'll catch up, I'm sure.
See, Dylan, it is a flex.
Keep the lights
He's like,
on.
I'm just drinking a little Eagle Rare. I'm just drinking Come on, man.
I'm going to go back to that question on safeties real quick, and then we can have some more fun chat.
No, let's do it. Let's do the safety chat.
Yeah. So a lot of safety activity, more saturated.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The Bengals, they should sign a safety. And I've changed my tune on that. And part of that's the market. Okay. So for example, this is perfect. I believe in Dax Hill. And I was really excited about what Dan Horde, what Dan, I'm going to make him. What Dan Horde said yesterday, because I don't think he had any idea of how I felt about Dax. And I asked him about safety, and I thought, spoke really fair about Dax Hill, his first year starting, all of those things. But when you look at the market, just because I believe in Dax doesn't mean when you look at the market that you shouldn't be in on safety. And there's going to be great value out there. Obviously, the Nick Scott experiment didn't work. I like Nick, and it sucks, but it didn't work in this market. He's probably going to get cut, and they're going to sign a veteran safety. Now, do I think it's going to be Justin Simmons for 3 years, 33 million, 11 million per, which is probably what he'll get? That's my guess. Former all-pro safety, still playing at a pretty high level at 30 plus. I don't think it will be that. I don't think it should be that. But to me, it's such a deep class. In the Bengals go for these mid-20s, like Geno Stone's a really popular one, and who knows, maybe he ends up back in Seattle or going to Seattle and rejoining Mike McDonald as defensive coordinator in Baltimore. Makes sense, especially with them cutting both safeties earlier this week, including Quandre Diggs, who to me would fit what the Bengals are looking for. But if I'm the Bengals, I want a vet. I want a guy that can talk, communicate, is going to get it. And so maybe that isn't a mid-20s player. You have Dax Hill in his 20s. You have Jordan Battle in his second year. You have Tyson Anderson in his third season coming off of injury. And so you have young safeties. You don't need to get younger there. And it's always good to have youth. But why not Jordan Poyer? Jordan Poyer is still playing at a pretty good level. He's not as good as he once was, but he damn sure is going to understand the defense. He's going to be able to communicate and say, you go here, you go here. This is what you do. Hold these young guys to a standard. And that's kind of what they were missing last year, because they brought in Nick, a former 7th rounder, and I just don't think he was that in that room. And you lose Von Bell, who certainly could have been that in that room. And so they need to find that. Now, I think they will start in the mid-20s, guys that are in their mid-20s. And so who fits that leadership role? I don't know. Of those safeties, I'll read some of them off for you, though, because Geno Stone's certainly someone that would make sense. Xavier McKinney's the one that everyone talks about. I would be surprised. One, he's represented by David Mulligata. Two, there's just a lot there. As far as, are you giving him 13 million per? Like, do you want to go that route? Like, do you think he's Jesse Bates? Because you were willing to do that for Bates, probably won't do the guaranteed money, which is 2+ years guaranteed. And so I don't think they land him or Cameron Curl. And who knows, maybe they do, because those guys don't have the market that they're anticipating. But to me, I go down a tier, and it's like Jordan Fuller. He, according to Brad Spielberger, projected at like $4.5 million per year. Jordan Whitehead could certainly be a guy. Tashawn Gibson, too old, so not him. Alohi Gilman, who's 26. They could certainly look at him. Darnell Savage is someone. The local kid, Mike Edwards, could he come back to Cincinnati? Those are the guys that kind of make sense to me. So we'll see. I do think they'll add a safety. And to your point, why not stick with Dax and Battle? I would. That's what I would do. But I also get wanting to add a proven safety. That's why I would be in on Jordan Poyer, because I think he can be your third safety. I think he can help all those guys in the locker room. He's been on winning teams. He's been around. But they may think they can do better because there are a ton out there. I don't think they'll be in the Justin Simmons market. But I will say this. If they are looking at it and saying, hey, this guy is going to be the game changer. He's going to come in and intercept, because he's the guy who always intercepts Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be the difference in those games. If you feel that, then do it, because none of these guys are going to break the bank. None of them are getting a Jesse Bates contract. I'd be shocked, because there's just so many of them out there. And the market is, man, Von Bell and Jesse Bates hit the market in the right year. Because if it had been this year, Von Bell would have been lost in the ocean of solid starting safeties, and Jesse Bates wouldn't have gotten nearly what he got last year.
Let's switch it over to the. Actually, I'm going to remove this one here. Let's go with.
Yeah, let's do this real quick.
Oh,
hold on. What? What's wrong with this?
No, that's fine. I was just clicking at the same time, and that was.
I didn't say another Nick Scott. The difference in market is insane between last year and this year. Nick Scott would probably have to sign for like league minimum this year. There are too many guys. It's insane how many safeties there are. So a 3-year, $12 million deal this year is going to get you way more than it got you last year. There's just too many safeties. The market is flooded. It is saturated. It's like running back. It's the exact same. And it's pretty simple there. And so the comparing, Nick Scott is what they should get. No, it's completely different because of the market and where the value is from a contract standpoint versus just a number of safeties that are out there. What else you got, Andrew?
How about, Eric, I feel like this has been Eric's whole mantra this entire live stream. So let's go on O-line.
Yeah. So I've already reached out to Tyron Smith. How about that? Mention him on Enter the Jungle. He would be my first call. And he only wants to play left tackle. Not really interested in right tackle. Going to be hard to convince him. Maybe if I give him a few bottles of Buffalo Trace and he drinks them all, I could convince him to play right tackle. But I just don't think that's going to happen. That would be my guy, because he's just awesome. I do think he's going to stick in the NFC. We'll see, but it seems like that's the case. So we'll see there. But to me, it's going to be tough to clear upgrade from the jump from Jonah. And Vince asking, what's the market for Jonah Williams? Could he be retained at a reasonable cost? Probably not. Probably not. I think he's the one guy in this class that he's a tier above like Jermaine Illuminor, and Mike Onwenu is looked at as like a right tackle / guard. And so I think he's going to get paid a lot, but he might get paid to play guard and not necessarily right tackle. And so Jonah, he's shown he can play left tackle. He's shown he can play right tackle. I think he's going to get $15+ million a year, and the Bengals won't go there. And I get why. You can't continue to pay free agent prices for guys that aren't going to give you borderline Pro Bowl play. It's just too hard, and it's just too much. And so I don't think that a Jonah return is remotely possible. Now, could he hit the market and it just not work? Yeah, but there's not a lot of tackles out there, and he can play both spots. So I think he'll be fine.
One, I don't know if that's really Jake. Two,
it is. I'm sure it is.
Okay. All right. Well, let's stop everything.
I'm sure it is. Is it? He probably DM'd me if. Just logged back on.
About Jonah
there we
Williams
go.
for like 10 minutes. You don't have anything you want to talk about Jake for 2? I mean, come on. What are we doing here?
Talk about who for 2?
Jake.
Oh, I will say this. Jake and I both agree. You probably do too. I don't know anyone that wouldn't. Jermaine Illuminor makes a lot of sense. I think he's kind of splitting the difference where you could get him for 2 years, 15 million roughly. So for one of those Jonah years, you get him for 2. He can play guard. He has experience playing guard. He could be a swing tackle if you need him to be, or he'll just be your starting right tackle if it doesn't work well in the draft. The thing the Bengals can't do is go into the draft without a right tackle, where it's Deontay Smith and Jackson Carman, who, by the way, another cut candidate. They can save like $1.5 million on Jackson. Give me that $1.5 million, please.
Jake, to prove to me that it's you. This is the only way I'm going to know how.
This is how.
Do
like a
$200 super chat. Then I'll know it's Jake Liskow. That's how I'll know.
Liskow. Cow.
Sorry, yeah. I don't know why.
So he's the thinnest man on the history of the planet. All right. You ain't calling him a cow. I guess that would be ironic, but no, not the case. Jake, grab some bourbon. Join us.
Yeah. Yeah, James, give us some real insider information. What are we doing here, Brian?
Real insider information. I mean, what do you want to know? The Bengals, they want to keep DJ Reader. Is that what you want to know? I don't think they've really made an offer to Jonah. They know that that's not going anywhere. They really want to keep Drew Sample. They're probably not keeping Cheeto, but that's kind of market dependent. I think they're open to it. I did see a chat earlier. Could Cheeto move to safety? I mean, all those guys can, like at some point in their career. I don't think that's where Cheeto is now. And that's a whole nother question mark too. Would that work? How many reps are you going to give him over Dax, who needs reps too? And so, no, I think they'll go out and sign a safety.
Let's see here. How about, I'm going to get rid of some of these older ones here. But no,
man, if you don't just pick one.
I'm not ready I'm timing some things here. Oh, Jake's chatting here. Wait, a few things have come up about the 6 rounders. So,
yeah, I saw that Nick Accordi, who's like the compensatory king, is like breaking it down, and there was a real scenario where the Jesse Bates contract was worth a 3rd rounder, but Orlando Brown Jr.'s contract was worth a 4th rounder. And so then the Bengals would end up with a 3rd and a 6th rounder, which is huge compared to 2 6s. Is Jake, update, is there a possibility that that's being reviewed, or they just got screwed? Because I jumped onto the live as I was seeing that and saw your DM. So we'll see there. But
see it yet.
Regardless, the Bengals have 9 draft picks. If they had a 2nd, 3rd, oh, baby. Don't tell me what I could do with that 2nd, 3rd. Oh, my God. Tavondre Sweat. Get in the middle of this defense.
Get in the middle
of this defense.
Talk about insider information. We talk about tight ends. Have you heard anything about Hayden Hurst at all? What are the odds that they're having?
Yeah, there we go. More insider information. Boom. Concussion cleared, ready to go. The reason he was cut by Carolina, it's pretty simple. They wanted him to give up the guaranteed money that he had in his contract this year. And he said, no, that's why I came to this place. And so there you go. That's what I've been told. Now, do I know that for sure? I don't know, but he is healthy. I do know that he is healthy. And when I look at the tight end market, there's a reason I did a video on Hayden Hurst. I think it makes a ton of sense now, especially after Hunter Henry. We'll see with Noah Fant. But after Fant, that's it. I would just pivot to Hurst. I'd pivot to Mike Gesicki if you want to. I think the Bengals would prioritize Hurst because of the familiarity. There just isn't a ton of it's safeties and running backs. There's 1,000 of them. Offensive tackles, not a ton of them. Defensive tackles in their mid-20s, not a ton of them. And tight ends, there's just not a lot of them. There's not. And so it's challenging. And the hard part is for the Bengals is the draft isn't great either at tight end. So re-signing Drew Sample, I think, will be a priority for this team. And who knows, maybe they get something done before Monday. It would not shock me if they're able to get something done with Drew.
Brian, we keep giving, and it's not enough for you, is it?
What's the insider information on Noah Fant? That he's going to get $10 million plus a year. He was projected to get roughly $8 million per. But when you look at Hunter Henry's contract, you look at Dalton Schultz's contract, his number is going up, and that decreases the chances that your guy will be Noah Fant will be a member of your Cincinnati Bengals this year.
And
I hope that's enough, Brian. And Andrew is wearing an awesome shirt.
David Mulligetta.
I don't think. Let me talk about that for a second.
I'm just
because
saying it doesn't help things.
it doesn't help things.
That's
and
all.
it doesn't help with premium guys. And that's the element here. Like, could they go out and sign Justin Simmons or go out and sign Kevin Byard, right? Who's in another, like, Simmons is here at his career. He's not at his peak, but he's not. Byard's down here. He's another tier below Simmons at this stage. I think they could sign some of these guys. I'm not scared of Mulligetta. I do think signing premium players that are playing at an extremely high level, it's going to be a challenge for the Bengals for sure.
We were talking about, actually, we already kind of covered this one. We were talking about actually, you and I, James, privately, we've had this conversation enough about historically looking at the last 2-3 years. I don't want to say it's not fair to say. I mean, I understand where it's coming from, but like we were just talking about like some of the great free agencies that we've experienced in the last several years. Not every year, but some good ones.
Yeah, Fant isn't represented by Mulligetta. Come on, Andrew.
You sure about
Jesus.
that?
Jake said it, so I believe Jake over you.
Jake. All right.
Come on now.
I know it. And Jake messaged me that it is him. I was going to start saying if it is you. It's fun to.
Anyways,
not to doubt it.
DJ Reader, Trey Waynes, right? First wave in 2020, 2021. Cheeto Awuzie, Mike Hilton, right? Who else did they get first wave that year? I wouldn't put Riley Reef in there. I'm thinking Von Bell wasn't first wave in 2020. And then 2022, Alex Kappa, Ted Karras. And then last year, Orlando Brown Jr. And last year, Orlando Brown Jr. is obviously a great addition. They struggled in free agency last year. It did not go their way in a lot of ways. But the other years, it certainly did. And Orlando was obviously a nice add. I think their goal, and they know this, they have to be really, really active. I'm expecting the Bengals to be active. Jake and I have talked about it. I've prepped Andrew the past 48 hours. I said, look, we are going to be busy as hell on Monday at noon. It's just going to be that way. When they sign, if they agree to terms with Tierre Tard, if they agree to terms with insert whatever defensive tackle you like, if they re-sign DJ Reader, if they bring in Jermaine Illuminor, if they sign Mekhi Becton, I'm sure we'll get to more on him. If they sign one of these safeties, any of it, Hayden Hurst, we're going to react to it right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And Jake and I had the same conversation. It's like, be ready. Because I think it's going to be, last year, it was not nearly as active early on day 1, day 2 of the tampering period. I think it's going to be really active. I think they're going to be aggressive and be in the first wave. So old Bengals, certainly. 2010s Bengals, they were not active. It made me insane, drove me insane every single year. They would let free agency pass them by. That is not the case with this Bengals team over the past 4 years or so.
I was just kind of throwing a few Trey Hendrickson.
Trey Hendrickson. Damn. How did I forget him?
I know.
He's
I
the best free agent signing out of all of them. Yeah, my bad. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson in 2021. Jesus. So that one was at night. It was similar to the Orlando Brown Jr. one. Jake and I, we had just recorded. We were audio only still. So we were doing our YouTube thing, Andrew, here on CBT. We weren't on YouTube yet with Locked On. And I was sitting at my in-laws' dining room table, and I had just recorded. And then Jake and I were like, oh, crap, we got to do another show. And it's always like that with free agency because you think you're done. Last year with Orlando Brown Jr., it happens at like 10 at night. And it's like, all right, let's roll. And you better be ready to go and ready to react. Free agency is a lot of fun. I enjoy it because of that, because it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I mean, like James we'll have these conversations. Free agency, not so much draft. I mean, at least for the most part timing, unless there's like a trade of picks. It's off-season in general. It's like we have those conversations. We had it this week where it's like James is like, hey, look, make some thumbnails for YouTube in advance, like different scenarios, blank things. You can make like a dozen, and we're going to use 2. In case you don't know, like anything could be happening. I could be driving and there's nothing I can do about it if something were to happen. It gets crazy.
Yeah. And so I throw in the picture of Chris Jones and announce that, I
already made a Chris Jones one just in case, James. Don't worry.
Oh, that's the one guy, like there aren't many players I'd say spend 30 million plus on. You get Chris Jones. Let's say you sign him. Let's just do this real quick for 3 years, $93 million. So $31 million per year, right? His first year is going to be worth every single penny. His second year, he's going to be probably 80% of Chris Jones. Like, he's just a little decline. He's still going to be a game wrecker. And then the third year is probably not going to be worth it. But those first 2 years would be awesome. And maybe all three are worth it. You never know, because he is a freak. Anyways, it won't happen. I'm not saying it should. It's going to happen, but it's fun to think about.
Yeah, I mean, or is it going to be like an Orlando Brown thing where there's all these names we toss around? Nah, that won't happen. That won't happen. And then this name that we didn't even know was even a possibility shows up. I mean, it's fun. I mean, last year was so unique in that regard.
I think the one I'm trying to think of who that could be this year.
Right, but how could you think of that? How could you have thought of Orlando Brown?
Well, so
I mean, we knew that there was rumblings with his whole situation.
I'm annoyed. Here's why I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that we never talked about it. Like, I never said, I talk about the Bengals on 8,000 different places, in 8,000 different places, a bunch of different scenarios every single day. And I didn't even discuss it. But obviously, since Jonah was drafted, he had the versatility and everyone thought he could move. And so I kept looking at right tackle. And I remember saying, just sign the best right tackle. And the right tackle class, for all intents and purposes, sucked. It was awful.
Right.
It was not a good class. All these guys were overpaid. Mike McGlinchey and I forget who else. It's why Jonah is for sure getting paid, because he's better than some of the guys that got huge money last year. But I didn't think about, just look at the left tackles. Duh. And Orlando Brown Jr., I'm shocked at how low of a market he had, because his deal, 4 years, $64 million. Jonah Williams could get that. Like, we might be talking on Tuesday and Jonah Williams gets 4 years, $68 million and gets more than Orlando Brown Jr. Would not shock me.
Yeah, at one point, I feel like Jake was talking about his dating life. I don't know what's going on in this chat. I am not doing my job.
So last year when Orlando Brown Jr. signed, Jake and I had just finished our pod, posted it. I walk upstairs, sit down, and he's going on a date. So he's going on the date.
Oh, this is last year. Okay.
Yeah. And Orlando Brown Jr. is signing with the Bengals. The news comes. So I come down here. And so I recorded the emergency lockdown. I said, man, go on your date. And so everyone wants him to go on dates because it means good news. So Jake, go on a date on Monday night, I guess. I'll hold down the fort. Just date every night during free agency. It'll be Chris Jones, Illuminor, heck, Unwenu. They'll all just come to Cincinnati because Jake goes on a date.
Don't worry, Jake. Jake, you and I, we've had plenty of conversations about AI, Gen AI. I'm working on an AI Jake for if he needs to go on a date, we'll take care of it.
That's funny. Yeah, Jake. All right, what else we got? I'm sure we have plenty. Get your questions in. If you're just joining us, 1, thank you. 2, Friday night free agency. Let's go. If you have questions,
we're going to answer a lot more questions. In fact, let's take a breather, just like 1-2 minutes, and talk nothing about free agency. Let's get just put a question in here that has nothing to do with free agency, Bengals. Let's just.
All right.
Like 1-2 minutes. We're not asking for much here. It's the equivalent of a sponsored plug. Let's see. We'll vamp a bit while we wait.
That's good stuff, my man.
What do you got? What's good? Oh yeah, of course. What are you right in the mic? What are you?
Oh yeah. It's a subtle flex.
When is the last
8th grade? The summer between 8th grade and freshman year. 4.8. It's the only time I've been timed on the 40. I bet I'm faster than at least 99% of this entire channel right now. And there's 318 of you in here.
Rapid fire.
What's the drink of choice tonight? Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, I got I'm Eagle Rare. That's why I was excited. I found another bottle in Northern Kentucky, and I was like, well, I get to finish the one that I already had open. This is great. How do you pronounce pecan? Pecan. What do you say?
It's a pecan sandy. It's a pecan.
Jake, why haven't you gotten on here? Jake I want to hear how he pronounces it. Drinking will make you fat, James. Well, that's why he hasn't run a 40 since 8th grade. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Right.
Drinking will make you
I can't
fat.
help you there. Whatever. What color Power Ranger is James? James is green, right? Or white? Which one are you?
I had a joke there. Green. I'm the green.
You
Ranger.
Had a joke? You?
So here, you see? Which side is it?
I'll full screen you. Hang on. So, I'll get you full screen.
I got the blue one. I have the red one. I have the white one that's coming soon. And I have the pink one. I need the green one, and they haven't re-released it yet, and it's like $600 right now. Like if you buy it secondhand, and I'm not spending that on it. Not spending more.
This is why you should not do super chats, because he just spends it on Power Rangers. You see what's going on back there? All that commotion. The comments that we get on videos, by the way, of complaining about James's toys just amuses me to no end. Primarily because it's the most ridiculous thing to get bent out of shape over. It's like
I literally buy stuff like a lot of these. I buy stuff that, like, especially the Power Ranger stuff that I definitely wanted, like when I was a kid. Gold Ranger from Zeo. I'm in. If I have that in the background somewhere, actually.
All right, it's enough Power Rangers. We got to. I said rapid fire, and I'm failing at my own rules.
Either way, I have Spider-Man too. I have Iron Man that I actually haven't tried on yet. I want to try that one on.
Trip,
so
Northern
I have some
Kentucky.
other stuff too.
Oh, Trip, Northern Kentucky. Originally, I born and raised St. Bernard, still in the Cincinnati area here, like Finneytown, Springfield Township.
We're both from St. Bernard, but we didn't know each other until after we weren't in St. Bernard.
That's right.
Northern Kentucky. Shout out to Braxton Brewing.
Oh, that's insider information. We're careful over there.
Garage beer, baby.
How many times can you bench 225, James?
I got asked this earlier this week. Easily double digits. I'm not where I would be able to do it 20. Like I've done it 21 or 22 times is the most I've ever done. But I haven't benched with a spotter, so you really can push it till you're done. I haven't had a spotter in years. So all of these numbers are without letting the bar completely die on your chest and having someone be able to lift it up. So, but yeah, double digits easy. Always double digits. Mark me down.
Sample. I hope you got everything you wanted out of that question there. To answer your question from me, Sample, I have to think about it. I haven't done that in so long. If I had 2 James Rapines and I was lifting it, 225, right? That's what we'd be at. I don't know. I have to think about that one.
The answer for Andrew is 0.
Pecan. No, it's not pecan. Ray.
0.
Your favorite bourbon? Man, what's your favorite child? I can't do that.
That Weller Green Label, that special reserve. That's the Weller. That's been up there for me because it's such an easy one, man. Like if I could just have that all the time, I'd be in. Blanton's is obviously up there. I need to open that Blanton's, man. It's been sitting there for 2 years, probably 3 years.
I'll make this quick. Well, bourbon is just usually like an Old Forester or something like that, like just casual way. But yeah, if I really want something good,
go ahead, finish.
If I want something good, it's probably like I'm not too picky as long as it's not like certain rye and whatever like that. I like anything good here. I don't spend probably more than 50 or 60 unless it's super rare.
We real quick because. You see the question about the draft there? I just want to make sure we see it. I
put it up there. Yes.
With 320 people watching right now, we are going to be doing some live shows coming up in person at Buffalo Wings and Rings. We'll give you all the details on here, but stay tuned for that because they will be pre-draft.
Stay tuned. We're still finalizing details here.
Stay tuned as in stay tuned onto the channel for that, for all the details. But what I'm saying is come out, say, hey, drink bourbon with us, drink beer with us. And have some wings because it'll be 2 different locations we're working on. Like Andrew said, working out the details, but we have 320 people in one place right now. So I might as well mention that is coming this offseason, meetups in person, so we can chop it up in person as well.
And it's exclusive to you 315 people here because I'm going to remove this live like it never happened. So you will be the only 300 people that will know about it. You all and Jake. Let's go. Let's go. Secret food places. I'm gonna make this one quick. I only say this because no one has ever brought it up to me or recommended it to me. And I've had it so many times and I love it. And every time I talk to somebody, they've never heard of it. It's Lalo, Lalo, downtown Cincinnati. It's like an Asian Mexican fusion place. The ramen, the Mexican ramen, and the burrito tacos. Like it is so good. And every time I bring it up to people, no one's ever had it. And it blows my mind that it hasn't caught on. So Lalo, I love it.
All right. So how long we've known each other for like 14 years. You've never mentioned that to me.
I have.
No, you have not. Oh my God. Like he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to tell you about this place. News to me.
Like, I probably invited you and you're like, yeah, we'll get around to that.
It can't be that good. You haven't said it in 15 years.
Scott, I'm not spending
in the
time on
world?
this because we already did spend time on that, but maybe we will later because we definitely talked about Mixon
Slander. Oh,
Come
good.
on. Slander.
You know what's
Everyone
wild
gets-
about you know what's wild about that for real? Like
Go ahead.
for real.
I know.
Is
You're gonna tell me
everyone
something I don't
remembers
know.
the 2017 draft, and it's the John Ross draft. I was on the John Ross train, no doubt.
Right.
But I was also on take Joe Mixon in round 2.
Yeah.
I said take Ross, take Mixon, and have this insane offense. Like this idea that I hate Joe Mixon, it's dumb because because people disagree with how I feel now about his value.
It's not
it's
just
part of the gig.
It's not just that. It's also, I feel like there's a certain level of like you hear it and then you start to believe it. And I don't know. I run into people and I'm like, well, tell me about a time that happened, and no one really can provide me of anything of like. I'm not just sitting here defending. If I didn't agree with you, I'd be like, James, come on, you did this, you did like I pull receipts on you, but come on, I don't get this one. It's the weirdest thing.
You remind me about John Ross every day. All right,
I know. Everyone else does that for me. Skyline Ghost Star.
Sure.
Answer Skyline.
No, the answer is what everyone wants to sponsor.
We're gonna get back to some football talk here. I really want this to be rapid fire, so let's go here. Super chat. James gets his Green Ranger helmet. Yeah, I'll forego that for that purpose. It seems like he really needs one.
I still wouldn't spend $600 on it though, right? Like it's just not worth. Like I because they'll release it at some point. Like they re-released the White Ranger one, and I just got it. It's like $89. Like,
I'm gonna be honest. Dragon Ball is one that I still to this day haven't properly watched. I only recently got an anime within the last like 5-6 years, starting with Attack on Titan. And I say this because there's an old interview. Go look for it. Enjoy. There's an old interview with Mike Daniels that I did when we were green as hell on this channel, and I got him perked up talking about anime because I just started discovering it. So go search that one. Search Mike Daniels on our channel. Enjoy that because not many people watch it. We were still pretty new. Let's see here. Last couple ones, and then we're going to do free agency here.
Found it. Hey, I'm putting the Mike Daniels. Ooh, I got your young voice yelling in my ear. Hey
Yelling
everyone,
in your
thanks for joining us because I pulled up the YouTube video. That's Andrew and Mike Daniels. I just put it in the chat. Oh
no! Oh, you put the link in the chat. I thought you were gonna put like a still up of it.
No. When was that? That was June 23rd, 2021.
Rick, I know Greenlee, of course. Yeah, that's a.
I grew up on Greenlee.
It's a main artery through St. Bernard, of course.
I grew up on Greenlee McClellan.
Take a shot, losers. Man, I sip it and I enjoy it. I get plenty out of that. Let's see here.
Losers.
I'm starring a few because we're about to get back to some football.
Yeah, no, we'll do football. Like, believe me, this is a football live.
Yeah.
We talked football. I mean, we're 52 minutes in. We talked a lot of football, and then we're just transitioning for a few. That's all. Work to do. Is there news? I hope to God there's not news. I haven't been looking.
I feel like one of us.
Veteran center Mitch Morse completed his visit to the Steelers and is on his way to meet the Jaguars. All right, sign in Jacksonville, Mitch. Don't sign in Pittsburgh. You don't want to block for Russell Wilson, do you?
Let's ease back into free agency. Here we go. I feel like this
the
is
free agents tend to not sign right away to court offers, or do they jump on a deal so sooner? So.
Just general, like how it all works. Like, what do you observe?
Oh, I mean, I think agents right now have a pretty good idea of what a lot of their clients are going to get, and it's pretty simple. If you're representing 8 players, well, you can talk to teams about the players that are under contract, and numbers can be floated out there anyways. And so a lot of times you get a feel for who's coming back, who's not. There's a reason why we don't feel like Jonah's coming back, right? That feel is very real. And it's because we have an idea of what his market is going to be, that there's going to be demand for him, and that the Bengals aren't willing to pay it for him. I think they would spend, if there was a stud right tackle, like a stud that wanted to come here, I think they would make it work like they did with Orlando Brown Jr. last year. They still could do that. They have plenty of room. And that's what I think is really interesting. Jake and I talked about this, how they use this money, where they use it. Because if they wanted to be splashy and get like the ESPN headlines, they could go after like Illuminor, Fant, and Barkley. And like, oh my God, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Barkley, Fant, they have the right tackle. Like they could do that and still sign defensive tackles. Like they have money to do it. So I do wonder what they prioritize, how they spend it. if they bring DJ back. I think they are offering him a deal and want him back. I assume it's short term. I don't know. Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? I don't think it's 3. Does he get 3 elsewhere? I wonder. It's really interesting. That's the biggest question for me is DJ Reader's market. What is it? Because I don't know. I know how the Bengals view him. I don't know how the NFL views him now coming off of injury.
Sorry, I was on.
You think Burrow?
Let's address this one because I haven't seen much Burrow talk. I know there in theory isn't much to talk about right now, but this is a good one.
It's a serious wrist injury, like extremely serious wrist injury. He's healing well, by all accounts. Everything's progressing exactly how it should. That's where we're at. I think he'll be ready for camp. I think he'll be good to go. But until he is, there's still a question there. I think we're going to see him throwing in the offseason program. And that'll be fun to see, certainly. And I can picture it now of the video that emerges of Joe Burrow, the Bengals social, just and it's him dropping back and throwing, and you don't even see where the ball goes, but you can see that he's throwing again. I'm sure that'll happen. But or maybe it's a still image of him throwing, whatever it is. But no, I think he's progressing well. I do think he'll be ready for training camp and hopefully ready long before camp. And what I think is going to be interesting is how he manages things, because last year when Joe tweaked his calf in practice, and it was like almost a nightmare scenario, right? That first day, and it was stupid. I remember hyping it up. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm hyping this up, and it's just a stupid training camp practice. It was the best I've ever seen Joe Burrow practice or play, really. I mean, he was awesome. He looked strong, fast, was moving great. And then that second day was the same, but he had that sleeve on his calf, probably had a little tightness. And then boom, has the calf strain, and the whole season just kind of torpedoes after that. And there's a bunch of up and downs, and the roller coaster started, and it started with that. So we'll see if he changes the way he approaches things and isn't firing on all cylinders necessarily when camp starts, because he looked ready to go for the Browns that day. And obviously the regular season was 6-7 weeks away.
I'm laughing. I just got to call this out. We're having fun here, right? Leland KFC. My wife just texted me saying, there's another one on here saying Andrew needs to replace Jake on Lockdown. That's not going to happen. I have no interest in it. It never would need to happen anyway. Jake's great, but it's like my wife just texted me, this guy has many loving comments for you. So you got the attention.
Does that make you feel good? Does that make you feel good?
Me?
Yeah, you.
No, I'm just amused.
You get a little attention. You get a little attention. See, this is the last live we do for another 5 years. Andrew.
Yeah, I know that. I get punished. We do a live, and then it just gets pushed out further and further.
Back to the basement.
Yeah. You've had enough fun out here, enough daylight.
Get the hell inside. What are you doing? What you think you can? No, I'm just kidding.
Let's talk about this one real quick too, because there hasn't been a lot of questions. I feel like most people don't talk about Tyler Boyd because I think they all assume he's just gone, or at least no one seems to be fighting to keep him, because I don't see much conversation about him.
Yeah, it's not about fighting to keep him.
When I say, I'm talking about from like just the conversation, the commentary, and I'm not talking media. Also, I'm definitely talking like fan base, your Reddit, or YouTube comments. I just don't see a lot of Tyler Boyd talk.
To me, I view him and Mixon in the same. No one says I hate Tyler Boyd, and I don't. I remember when he was drafted, my guy. I love it. People wanted Andrew. He was their 4th rounder that year, the defensive tackle. Andrew Billings. People wanted Andrew Billings at 55, and I was like, no, Tyler Boyd should be the pick, and they picked him, and it worked out really well. They ended up getting Billings too, and that was awesome. How about that? Trench wars way back then with Andrew Billings, but it's just kind of run its course. I think he's going to go elsewhere. Albert Breer mentioned the Jets as a possibility. I think that's interesting with Rodgers and them going all in. I think the Chiefs, as weird as it sounds, kind of makes sense for Tyler. The Steelers certainly make sense, especially if they get Russell Wilson. I think I could see him returning home. And it sucks. They all suck. Like it sucks that he's not going to finish. But I think it's time. I think everyone knows it's time. I think Tyler knows that that's what's going to happen. So where he ends up, I think it's just market-based, who's interested, who makes a push, and who's able to get it done. You know, Houston would be interesting if they want to go that route. I know they have Tank Dell and obviously Nico Collins, but, you know, Tyler Boyd, he would fit in a lot of places for sure.
Are we Are we at a Frank Pollock point? Are we there yet? Is the meter there?
Thanks, Jake. Billings. I remembered.
I put that up after you said it too. I knew you'd love that. Oh my God. Hang on. Let's see here. What we have here.
Oh,
Michael. There's a lot.
Michael. My goodness. Here. Holy moly. I'm about to buy one of those.
The shirt? You want to buy? I'll get you a shirt. You want one
of
these?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. One of those.
Complicated patterns?
I think I win.
Oh, you sold out. See, that's right. You sold out.
As you wear,
I gave up my lunch per diem for this.
Your Cincinnati Bengals talk. All right, Michael Rolfe. Thanks for the show, gents. Seems like biggest free agent needs are defensive tackle, right tackle, free safety, vet, or tight end. Seems like draft needs are parallel with running back added to number 3, round 3. My question is, if a stud wide receiver BPA is available in rounds 1 through 3. All right, so I think today, I've told this to Jake, I think they would take an offensive tackle round 1. They would take a wide receiver round 2 if the draft was today, because just the way the board would fall. And then defensive tackle would come into play round 3. I only think there's one defensive tackle they're considering in round 1. And it's not the guy everyone loves. It's not Johnny Newton. All right. It's not. It's Byron Murphy, and then that's it. And so I don't think they're planning on taking a defensive tackle round 1. Now, if Murphy's there, I'm sure they'll take him. But to me, they plan on adding a right tackle that they feel comfortable starting. They're going to attack defensive tackle in free agency because they just don't know when they'll get one. And so if you do that, it opens up your board. And I think they could take a bunch. I think they could take a corner in round 1, wide receiver in round 1, Brock Bowers in round 1. That's the only tight end. That's why I say it that way. I certainly think wide receiver, if any of the big 3 were there, of course. I mean, Neighbors, Harrison, Adunze, none of those guys are going to be there. Do they feel that way about Brian Thomas? Maybe. I happen to think that if Troy Franklin's there at 49, they could be in. And that could be the guy who didn't test well at the combine, falls into round 2, and they look and they're like, oh no, he's gonna be a problem for opposing defenses. And they go that route. So I'm not sure exactly who BPA is, but I certainly think they could go that route. The other one, come on now, I'm forgetting name. Cornerback, NFL. Quinyon Mitchell. If somehow Mitchell, and I've seen him on different boards fall, like I think on one he fell to the Steelers at 20, which I don't see. He was 13th on one of the NFL.com big boards. If Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo falls to 18, there aren't many scenarios where I don't think he's BPA. I'm pretty high on him. I think he's like CB1, boom. Like right now, he would be a little growing because he's going to the NFL, but yeah, he's certainly a plug and play guy. So as far as BPA, I think that's the Bengals' goal in free agency. And that's why I expect to be busy starting on Monday next week or this week, whatever you want to say, because they are going to address their needs. My expectation is for them to address their needs so they can go BPA, because they may take a running back in round 3. No one's really projecting that. They might. They very well could. And to do that, you have to address the trenches. Everybody understands it. They understand it. We understand it. And I think everyone's on the same page.
Chris, Holzer, thank you.
Wow. What defensive tackle is the best fit for the Bengals in free agency? Oh, man. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you. Let's start. With the top, right? I mean, if I'm looking at the defensive tackles and I'm gonna pull up the list just because I don't want to miss any.
Flash it up. Let's go.
But as far as best fit, I mean, of course, Chris Jones fits anything. You know, I think Christian Wilkins would be awesome. Both unrealistic. Probably not happening, right? So let's go down. Leonard Williams, does he fit? I think he fits. I do wonder. It sounds like he's going back to Seattle, or they plan on re-signing him in Seattle, but it hasn't happened yet. So if he hits free agency, do you try? I certainly think you try. And who knows? But to me, Grover Stewart on the wrong side of 30, Sheldon Rankins pushing 30, similar age. T.R. Tart is the no-brainer for me. 27 years old, productive nose tackle. I got the Dave Lapham endorsement when we had Dan Hort on yesterday. He says that Lapp always mentions Tart when they play the Titans because he shows his potential and how impactful he is alongside Jeffrey Simmons. So to me, T.R. Tart is a perfect fit. I think they'll prioritize him. They did claim him in what was it, week 11? It was right after DJ Reader got hurt. and they claimed him, and the Houston Texans had priority. Otherwise, he would have been a Bengal. And the big question for me is, are the Bengals willing to sign the 30-somethings in free agency at defensive tackle? Because Daquan Jones could be interesting. I think, Quentin Jefferson is interesting. Shelby Harris is interesting. All of these guys that are on the other side. We had Brad Spielberger on Locked On Bengals this week. He mentioned Raekwon Davis. I think he's certainly someone that you could see the Bengals targeting. So there are guys. Javon Kinlaw, a lot of people will mention. I wonder about him because he's a high pick. Didn't really produce in San Fran. Do you think he can be the reclamation project? I don't know. So to me, I would say Tierra Tart is like the realistic fit. Obviously, DJ Reader is the best fit when healthy. And so could they sign Tart, keep Reader, and then maybe add a Maurice Hurst, maybe add a Javon Kinlaw on the cheap, add Daquan Jones, someone like that. Ideally, I would go into the draft hoping to not need a defensive tackle because it might not fall your way, and it's really hard to find one that's going to be impactful right away. And Byron Murphy might be the one guy that could be, and the chances of you getting him are, 25%, maybe less than that.
I think.
Thanks, Chris. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. Let us know if James completely failed. We'll be happy to continue.
The answer is Chris Jones. It's just
look. If
we'll donate all the super chats. We'll donate all the
Yeah.
super chats to his salary. I just don't know if it'll get it done.
Yeah, and if you're going to put in a super chat, feel free. James is going to give that answer, right? And then if you want to ask me what bourbon I'm drinking, I'll just throw that out there again. Why not? Give my contribution. Oh yeah, okay. What did you talk about Newton, Johnny Newton?
I could talk about him more.
Because it's just like why don't you think they like him? And somebody else had just brought it up.
It isn't a Bengals thing actually. I think the NFL is much lower on Johnny Newton than consensus is, like draft media is, and that was just talking to people at the combine. So this isn't even talking to Bengals people. This is talking to NFL people, and a lot of them told me, "Oh, he'll be there at 18." And the Bengals won't. He's going to be there past 18, and so I think he's one of those guys that could go as of today. And Illinois will have their pro day. He has the foot issue. If he looks completely healthy and looks awesome at his pro day, he could vault up. But I think he's more in the 25 to 45 range, and it could be early round 2, be one of those guys versus 18. Will he make it to 18? I don't think there's really a question right now in NFL circles that Johnny Newton will be available when the Bengals are on the clock. So if you want to bang the drum for Johnny Newton, that's fine. It's just there's a pretty good chance that the Bengals pass on him. And again, that has not come from anyone in the Bengals organization. It's so maybe I'm dead wrong, but I think the general vibe is the NFL's lower on Johnny Newton than consensus.
Michael, thank you again. Byron Murphy, James, Brock Bowers. If they're both there, who are you picking at 18?
Who am I picking?
Okay, so no. The question is, who is the pick? You
All
get both.
right.
What's your pick? What's their pick? What do you think really happens?
All right, 304 Cincinnati Bengals. 304 Cincinnati Bengals talkers that are watching right now. Which one do you think I'm picking? Everyone knows that watches. Everyone knows. It is not even. Come on now, a weapon for Joe Burrow. That's what I'm doing.
Why build suspense if we all know the answer?
Yeah, exactly. So I would take Brock Bowers. That said,
I know
Byron Murphy's hard to find. He is, and I think he's really damn good. And I think the Bengals. I think they would really struggle. This is a best case scenario. I think they would probably take Byron Murphy, the freak interior guy, because what would happen is you'd have the debate, and they're both probably. Bowers is probably going to be higher on the board. I don't know that though. I'm speculating. I think Bowers is going to be really high on a lot of boards and just fall past that because there are other guys that just matter more, and whether it's quarterbacks or offensive tackles, and so. I would say Byron Murphy. I would say the Bengals would take Byron Murphy. That's subject to change. I don't know how much they like Brock Bowers. I don't know how they couldn't love him. I loved Dalton Kincaid last year, and I didn't know if they loved him or not. And then I learned they loved him. I think they'll love Brock Bowers too. He's such a weapon, and like this year would be your Boyd replacement. And then after that, like if he evolves a little bit, if the offense evolves a little bit, could be your number 2 option on offense. Like I don't think that that's crazy for Brock. And number 2 option on offense, like premium one, not a all right, he's just all right. Like no, like Pro Bowl, high end, all pro, stud tight end for Joe Burrow that can play wide receiver and do a bunch of stuff for you. So at the same time, Byron Murphy's a freak in the middle and he's hard to find too.
Heard Bowers is the size of Money Mac.
I hope so. Hey, I love that. I actually sent to every GM but Duke Tobin the picture of Gronk and then Bowers. But I had Andrew with his editing skills. He shrunk Bowers even more. And so he looked 5'9".
You want insider information there to clip this out. YouTube allows it. Clip it out. Let it go viral. Make sure all the other teams see that.
Brock Bowers is 5'9", 180 pounds, and runs a 5'2".
You put ridiculousness out like this, you don't need super chats for me to flash this one up. I mean, what are we doing here? Big J, what a Friday night for you. I can only imagine what you're going through right now. What?
Drew Sample is a solid tight end. He is. He was really good last year. Like for what they needed.
But that's
him to
not
do.
what this chat says, James. What are you doing dancing around?
No, he shouldn't be the number 1 tight end, but he should be their a key piece of their certainly their 12 personnel looks. Like if Brock Bowers, the reason why I'm okay with drafting Brock Bowers is because you're going to have a Drew Sample in your back pocket, or Colby Parkinson would be one of the other ones. But you want one of those blocking tight ends that are going to do the dirty work for you. So
come on, people, give me something to flash. I have to get this chat off of here. I can feel people dropping just by seeing it. I have to. I'm going to remove it.
What? Remove it. Drew Sample's a good player. What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying he's not. I can make mistakes. I'm a human being, and my mistake was flashing that chat. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh my goodness, Joe Burrow is here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Joe Burrow is Joe.
Yeah, right.
What are my thoughts? Thanks,
check
Joe.
your DMs because Jake DM'd me to confirm it was him. Let me see if he's DMing. No, I don't have anything from Joe, so it definitely can't be him. He would totally DM me if it was him.
Could be Joe. Joe, appreciate you, and look forward to chatting with you in the near future. Yeah, go sign your friend. Clyde makes a ton of sense. Perfect locker room fit. And if you end up drafting a running back early, they could take a running back at 49. Probably not, but they could. And if they do, that guy's probably going to start. Well, guess what? Chase Brown and Clyde Edwards-Helaire would be fine as a committee. So, yeah, there we go. I'm all in on. I'm all in on Clyde. Yeah, I love it.
That's good. I'm only putting this up not to comment on it because we talked about the whole Chris Jones thing. Okay, look, if you want to talk about it, good. But I'm only putting this up because we plugged this ancient Mike Daniels interview with me and Mike Daniels. I think I was wearing a button up. It wasn't as fancy as this shirt, but it was, I was professional. This one though, I mentioned because I do want to plug the fact that if you haven't seen it, especially those that are new to this channel, there is 2 actually long form conversations in person with Orlando Brown preseason. But I say that because preseason, the shelf life really didn't get impacted. You still see the enthusiasm for a guy that really wanted to be on this team, loves this city, a guy that tells personal stories and is just very engaging. So if you haven't seen it, I think it still holds up. And if I'm wrong, let me know, but I would vouch for it. So
no, a lot of it holds up because we asked him. It was all about the process of signing here, his football life, his football journey, what it's been like, all of the things, less X's and O's going into the season, all of that stuff, and more background, essentially. And part of it was he got offered, the Steelers were interested because they needed offensive line help. The Jets
offered him more.
Yeah, the Jets offered him more.
That in that interview.
And by the way, who would you rather? It's not even, to me, there's still an advantage in that. That's why I mentioned Clyde. I think Clyde's just going to be like, yeah, let me link up with Joe. I think there will be guys that want to do that want to come in. Like Jermaine Illuminor, I think he's praying the Bengals call him on Monday. Praying, hey, I want to beat the Chiefs. That's the team that can beat the Chiefs. They have a right tackle need. Come get me. And he may take a little less. Like, I think there are guys like that in the league. And that's what's interesting about tight end is, will Noah Fant do that? Probably not. He needs to get his money. And so then you might go to the Hayden Hurst realm They're not in the wide receiver free agent market. So I don't know if you're going to see that with wide receiver right now. That's what's weird. Maybe you do see that at running back. Maybe it's not Clyde. Maybe it's someone else, right, that wants to come here. But weapons-wise, we haven't seen it. I do think we'll see it offensive line-wise, and it certainly helps.
A bit of color, but also part of the same conversation. I mean,
Would Chris Jones?
Who knows?
No.
How do you know? I'm not saying
Because
you would, but like, how can you definitively say no to that?
Because he's going to command. I mean, take less is so. You think he's going to leave Kansas City if Kansas City offers him 34? And so what Jake was referring to. So Orlando left Kansas City because Kansas City smacked him in the face.
Right.
That's what happened. They announced at the combine that they were not going to tag him again. Talks weren't going well, and they announced that they weren't going to tag him again. They had offered him an extension the year prior, but it was really weird because there wasn't a ton of guaranteed money, and they could have gotten out of it. Like it would have looked huge, but it wasn't nearly as fluffy. It was a lot of fluff and not a lot of substance.
I get it.
But the money was there. And by the way, he would have been their best tackle. That's what's so annoying when Chiefs fans this year would like to crap on Orlando. Like, and I saw it on social media. Yeah. And it's like the Chiefs would love to have him playing left tackle over Donovan Smith. Like, what are you talking? Like, it's not even close. And that's what's crazy about them winning again is they have done a bad job at addressing tackle. They've gotten worse at tackle. They can't find a receiver. They finally found one. Rasheed Rice is legit. But that defense is just awesome. And Chris Jones is a big reason why. So will he take less? He shouldn't. But maybe the Chiefs will lowball him. If so, 30+ million. Come on. He's worth it. He's worth every penny. Every penny. Chris Jones is awesome.
Speaking of understanding the market, Chris, first of all, thank you again. And
Look
also,
thank you for these guys.
Hang on. Thank you for the last super chat. But as far as understanding the market, we don't do lives very often. And I think people are starting to realize, listen, if you do a $5 if you do a $1 super chat, I don't know what the minimum is. We will guarantee answer your question. So don't overspend. We definitely appreciate it. But we don't need to go wild. Thank you so much, Chris.
You're really trying to pay for that shirt, Andrew. That's what you're doing.
No,
I see what you're doing.
The credit card statements are coming in on this one.
Look at you. Chris, all right. So if we draft a stuff rights
stud, he corrected.
Oh, stud. Yeah. I gotcha. What does our number 2 and number 3 rights? Oh man. That's why to me they have to sign one in free agency because they still need a backup. So like if you sign Jermaine Illuminor, he might be your swing tackle. If you sign Mekhi Becton, he might be your swing tackle. He might not be your starter because you could still very well. And I still think the plan will be to take a tackle. I think today the plan is take an offensive tackle at 18. But you can't control the first 17 picks. And so they need to get a veteran, and then they need to be prepared to take one at 18. And then hopefully that guy impresses right away, whoever it is, whether it's Mims, whether it's Latham. I know Latham's picking up a lot of steam to the Bengals. That's fine. Hopefully you're ready to go. And then whoever you sign to be right tackle, because I don't think it'll be Mike Nwenu. It's not going to be Jonah Williams. And so that next tier probably won't be Trent Brown. I guess it could. I don't see Trent Brown liking being a swing tackle on the bench. I don't know if he'll accept that as much as an Illuminor would or some of these other guys. So, yeah, I think they'll draft one and they'll sign one. The beauty is of this draft, let's say they take Brock Bowers at 18 or whoever, Byron Murphy at 18, whoever you want to say, Jackson Powers Johnson. I do think there'll be some tackles that could fall to 49. I think there'll be some guys there that they like, and they could address the position then as well. But you certainly have to upgrade. Honestly, they need a backup interior lineman that can snap the ball and play center and also play guard. And they also need a swing tackle as well. Don't believe in Jackson. I would save the $1.5 million and move on from him. It's like $600,000 or $800,000 in dead money. I would do it. They don't normally do that and move on from draft picks. I would, because he's not worth $1.5 million. What's he bringing you? Now, they may try to trade him like they did with Billy Price. I just think it's pretty unlikely. Billy was at least a hard worker and applied himself, and Jackson has all those questions about his character and work ethic.
Couple of quick things. This is not comments or questions that need to be answered at the moment. One, I know we're an hour and 20 minutes in. We're going to keep going a little bit longer. Appreciate everyone with the comments. Definitely appreciate super chats. We don't see those often, so thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And then two, I would just point out that as far as this live's concerned, this 310, 315, 295, I feel like we've kind of recognized our ceiling for the night. So I appreciate everyone staying around. I certainly haven't seen it dipping like crazy. So that's keeping our momentum going. Thank you so much. And lastly, and I'm not going to bore you with this, I know you hear it all the time, but coming from where I'm sitting, I see it so much from a YouTube standpoint. The whole, give us a like and the comments and so on and so forth.
Is that how I sound?
No, that's not how. Well, actually, yes.
Give us a like. What you trying to do, man?
That was the James influencer voice.
Give us a like.
It was
in my weird shirt that looks like.
I pointed out not because I just pointed out because when I come back in on the back end for these lives, we don't do them often. Like I said, I'll come back in and YouTube basically comes back like, here's your engagement level, and then I look at it and go, was it worth it? Like, I think it is. And I love engaging with people instead of just constantly just pushing information out to you all. So I'm asking that anything you can do, these comments are excellent. If you're not doing that, cool. A like, it's just a click. I know it sounds silly, but it honestly helps with the engagement level. YouTube gives us that feedback and it helps me kind of prioritize what we're doing. So keep it up. Thank you so much. I got another here. Oh wait, I already had that one. Sorry. Flash it up again. Thank you. On the stud.
There, I got you.
Yep, you got it.
All right. So top 3 players on the Bengals free agency board: Onwenu, Tart, Jermaine Becton. All right. So I would say it's a bit different. Let me think about this a little bit here. Outside of like Chris Jones, Christian Wilkins, like pie in the sky, unrealistic, probably won't happen. I won't bore you with those. I'm literally going to go down the free agency list here, and I'm just going to stop when I think it's like a realistic answer for you. Because I want to be genuine with this. Tyron Smith would be mine. He wants to play left tackle, not right tackle. I already tried. I tried really hard. I think Leonard Williams is up there. I think Leonard Williams is probably one. We haven't talked about him a ton, but I certainly think he would be one. Obviously, DJ Reader would be, but I'm not going to include him. We're talking about outside free agents. And then what's really interesting is the right tackle element. Like, do they feel good about Trent Brown? Mike Onwenu, I think they could have him at guard. So if they have him at guard, he is not high on their board. And so I think there's a decent chance they do. So I'm going to move him down the list. Man, this is tough because there's a lot of guys that like just the list I'm looking at. And it's like a lot of positions that they're not target, like guard and like corner. They're not doing that. Edge. They're not going to do that early. All right. So to me, it would be, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anyone. Leonard Williams, 1. T.R. Tart, 2. And I would put what right tackle do I think that they would? It might be Becton. I think they could view him as like, but honestly, it's probably one of these safeties. Let me look deeper at these safeties. Yeah, Mekhi Becton like is who I would prioritize, but they don't have them as one of their top 3 players. Like there's no way, right? So maybe it is a Cameron Curl, right? The top safety from Washington, or Xavier McKinney, Geno Stone, someone like that as well could be in the mix. To me, my 3 realistic: T.R. Tart, Jermaine Illuminor. That would be my right tackle target realistically. It wouldn't be Tyron Smith just because I know he wants to play left tackle. And then the third one, man, it's tough. I would probably go with another defensive tackle. I'm curious now who I'm missing. When you do these, you're like, all right, who are you missing? Who am I not thinking about? So I'm looking again. Is it Rankins? Rankins is older. Probably not. It might be, though. It might be Rankins, like just doubling down there and making sure you get defensive tackles. But if you re-sign Reader, you don't necessarily need to go that route. But that's one. I will say this. If they didn't franchise tag T, Calvin Ridley would have been high on my board as someone that they could have went after. Noah Fant, certainly. Saquon Barkley is my number 1 running back. I have him ahead of Derrick Henry as another one. Yeah, Geno Stone is interesting. He is. And I think they'll be interested and they'll want him. I also think the Titans could be interested because their defensive backs coach went with Brian Callahan to Tennessee. The Seahawks could be interested because of Mike McDonald and the connection there. Obviously, he was the Ravens defensive coordinator. So multiple guys that have ties to Geno Stone that have spread out across the league. And so those teams could target him.
Let's I'm gonna do it quickly. Well, this is gonna be another like, hey, non-football for the next minute or two. I'm gonna flash up a few comments, and then we are going to get maybe say last segment as the our non-live brains are used to conditioned into thinking of this live. Definitely going to talk about Frank Pollock. I know we've been teasing that since the very beginning. Some of the early questions we got, we just had to be in the zone, or at least James did, and I think he's getting there. Get there, James, and we will address Frank Pollock.
I wanted to do a Frank Pollock video. You kind of talked me out of it.
And that's still on the table, I think.
We'll see.
So, okay, yeah, I'll just I'm going to flash up comments that are not related to football, but again, this is going to be 1-2 minutes. I don't want people to start thinking we're not going to get into some meat. Let's see here. Yeah, by the way, I bullied people into like, hey, I feel a sense of accomplishment. I commented on that. It might be my biggest accomplishment of my Friday. The fact that I genuinely, passionately, from the heart said what I said and it worked. So thank you. Yeah, just nothing but love. Appreciate you all. Thank you. All right, this is a good.
Flash
it up. What you got?
Yeah, John. Appreciate you, man. That's the goal always. Andrew's a big part of it too. So that's a thanks to him too. How quickly did I finish? No, it wasn't. How quickly did I didn't think it was. I didn't see it, but how quickly
another bet. Mute the mic.
Did James finish the Spider-Man game?
Oh, that's a good one.
It is. So when did it came out in the season? It was like October.
Spider-Man.
So freaking Mike Santagata, who we have on Locked On, this dude beat it in a weekend. I barely put it into the PlayStation. And this dude beat it in a damn weekend. I'm like, man, I don't have time to do that. Like, it's season. And so it took me, I beat it shortly after the season ended, I think. But I wanted to like play out the story and I did some of the side stuff, not like Andrew. Andrew took this dude was doing every side thing ever. I love the story.
I'm not a completionist, but if I'm enjoying myself, I'm going to take my time on reaching that end.
Spider-Man is the greatest superhero game ever. I got a PS5.
Let's fire it up right now. No,
I got a PS5. I bought one in October. It was right before it came out. Maybe it came out in September. Whenever it did, it was the month prior. I knew Spider-Man was coming out, and I wanted to replay. I played the original on PS4, but I hadn't played the Miles Morales. So I played the original, beat it again on PS5, the remastered, because I got the Miles Morales. Beat Miles Morales in all of the add-ons and stuff, and then went and played the second one when it came out. So best superhero. I would recommend it to anyone. I think anyone that likes superheroes or adventure games would love it.
I love it, and James knows this. I've been recapping it. I came in, I was late to the party with Spider-Man 2, and I say that by like a month or two, right? But I was recapping my journey there. But which of the Spider-Man? Do we mean which actor, which franchise, which game, which suit? I don't even know where to begin there.
Oh.
I
assume actor. Yeah, I assume it's the actor. So it's like it's Toby, it's obviously Miles.
You're thinking way too hard. You're
No, I mean to me it would be Miles. That's
you're saying which either Miles Murphy or Peter Parker, which Spider-Man?
Miles Murphy? Miles Murphy isn't Miles Morales.
Miles Murphy. Miles Morales.
That Bourbon's coming.
I was reading a comment and it has Murphy in there and it messed up my brain. I'm not used to reading these comments and trying to be on camera.
It's tough. It's really hard reading and talking.
Oh, okay. Here we go. It's clarification, or what? Maybe one person's clarification. Oh, our favorite. Sorry, this was a roster one. It's the originals. Look, I love them all to a certain extent. I really like the recent ones and the ties with the MCU, but there was something special about seeing, for those that were able to see it in theaters when it first came out, like when that Spider-Man came out, like I knew it was like, man, we're getting real here with superhero movies.
Well, it changed superhero movies. Yeah. I mean, because think about it. So I'm a 90s kid. So you have the Batmans, and including the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, which was just awful. But like I had Batman Forever, but it didn't feel like with Val Kilmer. It didn't feel like those Spider-Man movies did with Toby.
Right.
So I agree with you there. I also think Tom Holland is awesome. And so it's really hard for me because he did all the, obviously was part of the Avengers and everything like that. And so I hold him in higher regard, but he had more opportunity. And so that's tough because when I think of the best superhero movies, man, the Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, it's those two and then The Dark Knight. Like those are the three for me.
Big J, I've been seeing your comments. You're like the Marvel Phase 4 where like everyone's getting very confused you entering the picture. Nobody knows how to handle it. Nobody knows what they're supposed to do next. They're not sure if the quality's quite there. These comments are wild from you, Big J. I see you though. I know. You've got my attention.
We're talking Bengals. What? We've talked a ton of Bengals.
I said, I was like, we're going to take a break. It's been an hour and a half. We're taking a quick break. Okay, CBT merch, it's out there. Go to Rivertown Anchor. We've only got the hats right now, but look, if the hats do well, we'll make more. This, and by the way, for the record, the hats, it's not like we're doing merch, we're gonna make all this money off of merch. No, we're doing it to help support local businesses, so go support them. We're doing this for that, and I think it's cool as hell, honestly, to see our brand and our logo out there. That's where I get the joy.
I just put the link to both hats. They have a dad hat and the rope hat.
Pin it.
I just put a link right there.
Do you know how to do that? Do I need to help you?
Do it. I clicked the side. I'm in StreamYard though. I'm not in the.
All right.
I'm not in YouTube.
Oh, I can't pin it because I'm not logged in as like CBT. I'm logged in as me. I'll figure that out later. So yeah, there's that. I don't know if this is the same.
Chicken, Jake, protein.
Oh, right, because we're on West Coast time.
Yeah,
like,
he's
wait a minute,
6
what's
o'clock.
happening? Of course. I don't know what this means. Break.
Gavan Rye's good.
Break contribute. I'm sure there's a typo there. Sorry, I didn't check.
Would you like to see Andrew contribute on camera, breaking down info during season more? Yeah.
When
you're
did
going,
I ever do
you're
that?
going to.
Oh, I guess I did it with I did it with Bracegate. If that's what you watched, I guess.
No, you're going to with Enter the Jungle every Tuesday at 8.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday at 8.
Appreciate everyone watching. We're still kind of learning with the format, and I think it's doing well, but I think it's just going to get better as time goes on. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Over my shoulder is the.
Sorry.
It's okay. Real quick. Over my shoulder is the data version.
Mm-hmm.
I don't unlock that. So yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't know how it's framed, but yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. I have another one right here.
We got to figure out ways to bring them around. Listen to me. If anyone lives in the tri-state area, like if I even just like walked into a Kroger and saw someone, it's like that's the joy for me. It's not the how many can we sell. I don't see that money. It's just cool to see. So get it out there. I love it.
Want to see a pencil disappear?
Yeah, of course. Batman is number one.
The fact that and I'm serious. The fact that translated to The Office with Dwight Schrute. And like it was so mainstream that they could pull that off on just regular TV is wild. And so that's the line that. Anyways, was there a super chat? I don't want to mess up if we had one.
I got you. Disney on Ice. No. I don't even know. I feel like my kids would be growing up.
Whoa. No, Michael, I'm not. I'm close to that. I'm not there yet. I'm a few years away. Man, at least they serve beer at those things though. That's good. No,
Michael, you wear one of these hats there. I'll try to find my way there. It'd be my first time seeing one in the wild. I'd love it.
Yeah. Disney on Ice. Take Lucas. I love it.
Yeah, I've kind of by the way, for what it's worth, I know you don't see these notifications. I have stuff starred, like saved, queued up chat-wise, like going back to the start of the stream. So if you're wondering like why hasn't he got my question? Not saying I will, but also still could. So yeah, James loves The Office. It's on repeat at his house. Like I come over his house, I've never seen that TV off. It's always The Office.
Yeah, it's perfect. What's wrong with The Office?
What?
It's pretty good. That's a pretty good line. The Fox Miller? Yeah,
I guess Wayne Boxmiller couldn't have done that. So there you go. Yeah.
And it's time for What the Fox Miller.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been a Goodberry question. I feel like we get those in traditional videos, and we haven't had.
We'll bother Joe for draft season for sure.
Yeah,
he's busy this weekend, but no, working with Joe. Also, free agency tiers list. Joe tweeted it out. I retweeted it. I put a link on All Bengals as well. But Jake, Joe, me, Sands, Mike Santagata all did our free agency tiers list. Shout out to Neil for putting it together. It's an Excel spreadsheet that literally has every free agent that you could think of, and they're ranked. So tier 1, tier 1.5, tier 2, tier 2.5, tier 3, all the way down to 5. So anyone you could think of that you're thinking the Bengals should go after, you get an idea of what we think of them right now based on their fit, contract, age, production, all of those things in one spot. So it's really cool. And Neil deserves a ton of credit because he's the one that does all the data entry, which I would hate. And he's awesome. Look at Jake. And the Locked On Bengals subscribers got it a day early. That's right. So subscribe to that.
I'll run a scrolling.
Look at him. I'm shocked Jake is still here. I thought he would be gone.
I thought he was just going to float in and out. If I knew he'd be hanging around so much, we could have had him jump on.
Yeah, we should have.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of Jake, I was referring to Jake when I was talking about the West Coast.
I'm not the West Coast.
I mean, despite this shirt, I don't live as lavishly as this shirt would indicate, as relaxed and enjoying life like West Coasters. I am here in the Midwest where we're crippled by Catholic guilt in the Midwest. Let's see here.
I'm glad I have the hat on. I can just do this.
Hey, I'm going to just point this out. The Bengals boys. Yeah, I follow.
So I met the father of one of, I think it was the keyboard player.
You met the father of the keyboard player of the Bengals boys? You are a true insider. Oh my God.
No.
Can we have him on?
He came in, I had a book sign, and he told me that. And it was for, and I forget his name, but it was for the keyboard player. And so I had obviously seen their stuff, but we've interacted a little bit. It wouldn't be hard. Like I follow them, they follow me, we've interacted. That was the whole point of that. So good shot.
And anyone that was raised Catholic, yeah, respect. I totally that was for you. That was for you and your wife.
Also, I mentioned the book. I haven't plugged the book in a long time. Enter the Jungle. Damn it! Every time I get it backwards here. Right here, you can get it at CincinnatiBengalsBook.com or just DM me and we can work it out.
Jay, can you chat the link to the Cincinnati Bengals book so we can plug that too? I don't feel like doing
plug in everything.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to
let's get to some real good stuff here because we're dipping. I can feel everybody just dropping. Like, why is he talking about Catholicism in Midwest?
No, it's let's get to these questions, man. What you got?
Yeah. All right, here we go. Wait, are you ready for Frank Pollock? Or are we not
getting
serious yet? Okay, we're getting serious. All right.
Ready for Frank Pollock a year ago.
James, why don't y'all talk about Frank Pollock? Please start the fire Frank Pollock narrative. Please. Please, twice.
You got any more?
I could find more. Give me your Frank Pollock takes, everybody.
Please.
Oh, you put that there. I thought that was Jake. I'm just going to put that there as a bookend.
Yeah.
Is Rapina French name? Fire Frank Pollock. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna set you up. I'm gonna preface this from a channel perspective because we've talked about this, James. I'm like, listen, dude, I could post a video right now where it's me talking about growing up in the Midwest, like we just did when people were dropping off, and everyone in the comments would be like, yeah, but what's Frank Pollock is destroying the Bengals. Like I feel like that's been the nature of our videos in the last month or two. Mm-hmm. The floor is yours.
Who has Frank Pollock had that he was supposed to get more out of than what they brought to him? It's pretty much that simple. Jackson Carman, I think we all know why Jackson Carman is not starting for the Bengals. Maybe you think otherwise. Maybe you think he would have been really good had he been drafted elsewhere. I do not. That was a bad pick. Creed Humphrey was on the board, which I've ranted so much about Creed Humphrey being on the board there that at the combine, I turned to Paul Dehner Jr. and he was like, don't give me your Creed Humphrey rant. I know. Because it just didn't make any sense. The pick was so dumb at the time and it burned them and it's still hurting them so badly now. So when it comes to Frank Pollock, I get it. I do. It's frustrating to watch Joe Burrow, one, get hit a ton, and two, now he's hurt. At the end of 2 of his 4 seasons. I do get it. One, Frank wasn't here in 2020, so that's part of it. 2, when the line sucked in 21, I don't put that on Frank. Then they spent on Ted Karras, who I like, who we're partnered with, who has played fine in exactly what he did and the level that he's played at coming into his Bengals tenure. That's what he's playing at now. He was not an all-pro that came in and is now dipped. I think he's playing exactly how I expected him to. Alex Kappa, same thing. I actually think he developed and played really, really well his first year as a Bengal. Was their best offensive lineman in 2022. Last year, I had high hopes for him. I thought it was more of an uneven year. There was a stretch there right before the bye where he played really well. But this idea that Kappa, Karras, Orlando Brown Jr., who was hurt last year for part of it, but like that Pollock makes them worse. I don't think that's true. I don't buy that at all. And when I look at how the Bengals have drafted Jackson Carman, Deontay Smith, those are the main two recently where there are higher picks. We'll get to Cordell Volson in a second. What do you blame them? Like, is that Frank's fault that they're not awesome? Is it Frank's fault that Jonah is not an all-pro? No, I just think Jonah is who he is, a solid starting offensive tackle in the league that's going to get his tail kicked in by Myles Garrett and some of these speed rushers sometimes, which a lot of guys do. He's a lot of guys. So it's not special, but he's good. He's fine. That said, I do get it. I get the frustration. I do wonder if Frank Pollock will be long in the tooth in Cincinnati. But I do think when I look at it, that if I would have said on draft night when they drafted Cordell Volson, and I remember it because I asked Brian Callahan, who was offensive coordinator then, where was he? I didn't even know who Cordell Volson was. I was like, were you guys worried he was going to go off the board? Because that was their first lineman they picked. It was in the 4th round. And he's come in and he's exceeded my expectations. That doesn't mean he's a quality starter. That doesn't mean they shouldn't sign a veteran guard. I'm not pushing back against that, but I do think that Frank has gotten a lot out of a guy who played in 1AA, played at North Dakota State, was a 4th rounder that no one had heard of. I'm a big draft guy. I didn't even know who he was. And that's my fault. I should have known because he was on the radar on day 3. But so to me, it's a bunch of different things. But this idea that Frank is teaching poor technique or just doesn't know what he's doing or is an awful offensive line coach and is the reason why the offensive line struggled, it's not true. I don't think the offensive line truly struggled last year. I think that they were asked to do a lot when Burrow couldn't move. When he could move, they pass protected well, and the run blocking was off a bit. I think the run game needs to be torn up. That's why I look at the entire state of the run game, and I want to look at it differently and change things a bit. People look at Frank, by the way, as the run game coordinator, and I think he's part of it. You can't sell me on the idea that Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan are dictating their rushing attack and their offense around what Frank Pollock's saying. I think part of it's true. I don't think all of it's true. So there's a bunch of stuff there. And the other thing I don't buy with Frank, and again, he's part of it. I get it. He needs to be better. The offensive line needs to be better. Everybody does. The other part of it is I cannot imagine. Maybe it's true. Frank hasn't told me this. No one in the organization has told me this. But I can't imagine the scenario where Frank was like, give me Jackson Carman with the 46th pick in the 2021 NFL draft. I don't think there's any way that Frank was all the way on board with that pick. He might have said, I can work with him. He might have said, I'll try to get the most out of him. I don't think he was like, Jackson's my guy. And it's really tough in a draft like that when there is obvious guys. And it's not just Penei Sewell. That's the Penei Sewell draft. It's not just him. Creed Humphrey. You don't get those guys, those obvious guys that are going to be really good. And you take these projects because you like their physical traits and you think that you can get the most out of them. It's hard to do that. So I think it's a mixture of things. The offensive line does need to improve. And what they really need to do is start drafting well offensive line wise. And that starts this year because they're going to take an offensive tackle, I would say in the first 2 picks, almost guaranteed, certainly first 3, guaranteed 100%. And so getting the most out of that pick is Frank's job. It's the front office's job. And it's up to them to see eye to eye and get the pick right because they haven't gotten offensive line picks right in a long time. And that's why they're at where they're at. So there's an organizational problem. There's also a Frank Pollock better be able to develop these guys when they get here. And so we'll see if that happens. And if not, then he will be looking for a job. But as of right now, I don't think he's done a bad job. I think it's been a bunch of factors as to why we're still talking about the offensive line. And part of that is pretty simple. Jonah Williams is a free agent.
So I bring this question up because there's some similar questions I can kind of flash up as you're talking about it, which is I've seen this sort of thought about Pollock in terms of what he prefers, like, in his linemen.
Yeah.
Whether it's athleticism, whether it's technique, what is the prototypical Frank Pollock lineman that he's either missing or that he's going to continue to build upon? And does it exist in this example, the first round, but like to your point, maybe the first three?
You want the Volson mentality, the Ted Karras mentality, the Alex Kappa mentality. Think about those guys. You're talking about 6th rounder, 4th rounder. I think Kappa was a 3rd rounder. You want the glass eater thing went viral a few years ago. Exactly. You want guys that have the want to, that work their asses off, that grind, that are willing to do the day-to-day, because the offensive line sucks. And honestly, it sucks a lot in this offense because you got to pass protect a lot. And it's hard. It's not fun. And no one's praising you. Everyone's praising Burrow and Chase. It's hard. It's not fun. But you want that element, but you also want the elite physical traits, the athleticism, the length, the size. And Jonah's a lot of those things. He doesn't have the length and size, right? Ted is getting the most out of what he has. Alex, the same way. Orlando has a lot of it, but he's so giant, and he's a great athlete for his size, but he's so giant that he's not one of these elite feet guys, right? And so, and he joked about it last week that he's not the quickest guy, right, during the combine. So that's the beauty of this draft, is I think they can potentially find that, the guy that has all of those things. And hopefully they can, because they need it, and they need to find ways to get younger, cheaper, not have to go out in free agency and spend on offensive linemen. And they've had to do that. They're going to have to do that again. And they'll still have to continue to, but it would be nice to get more athletic, certainly, and to find those guys that have both, right? Like if Cordell had the sweet feet, well, he would have went in the top 50 picks. He didn't, but he's got everything else. And that's why he's still in the league. That's why he's going to be in the league a long time. And I think he will be better.
Speaking of offensive line, thank you, Disc Golf Dad. What I'm be interested to know about your take with disc golf in general. Like, is it a hobby? Do you sell things for it? What's going on with that? But anyway, Karras is in his last year. Why not Kushner? He's talking about Lloyd Kushner,
yeah,
Broncos.
Yeah. No, he's set to make like 10 million-ish per. Roughly. I don't think they'll spend that now. I mean, they're paying Karras 6. They're paying Kappa over the next couple of years. He's under contract. But that's what's interesting here is, do they target a center, a Ted Karras replacement? Do they in the draft? I think they could. I think Jackson Powers Johnson is in play at 18. I do. It could happen. That doesn't mean he will play center right away, but could they go that route? Maybe. Maybe they also draft one and they also extend Ted Karras by a year because he's a great locker room guy and they think he has something left. I think it's interesting. That whole dynamic is interesting. And by the way, I'm not saying Frank is perfect. I'm not. But this idea that firing him, Zach Taylor almost got fired because Jim Turner was the offensive line coach. Look, I know what bad offensive line coaches are. I don't think Frank Pollock is a bad offensive line coach. I think things need to be better. Part of that has to do with drafting better, being on the same page, and not picking Jackson Carman in the 2nd round, which was just so dumb. I still can't believe that happened. It was just dumb. And I think the hope was, and I was one of them, that they saw something and knew something we didn't. And that's not the case. Everyone knew him and knew that he shouldn't have went. He went a round early, easy, maybe a round and a half, 2 rounds.
By the way, Disc Golf Dad, thank you for responding. I know a guy that sells some stuff down the street for me, but he's a Ravens fan, so I know you're not him. But there you go. Thank you. I'm going to throw a few of these up here. Go ahead.
Last call. Let's go. Last call here. We're pushing 2 hours here.
Yeah. Let's bring them in. I can feel the viewers, like the count deflating a bit. We're still holding strong, so we appreciate you all hanging tight with us. Oh, Shin Godzilla. Let's see here. What we got? I still need to see. I want to see the next Godzilla vs. Kong, but I want to see Godzilla -1. I still haven't seen it. So anyway,
I haven't either. All right. So considering this offensive system is offensive line unfriendly. Yeah, what about it? It's similar. They just pass a lot, and that's hard.
When you say what
And,
about,
and
you're referring to Mixon leaving yards in the field for not making the first defender miss or break.
what about considering this? Oh, yeah. No, okay, I got it. I read it wrong. Yes. So definitely, like, that's part of it. That's part of why the explosive runs aren't there. That's part of why making guys miss. Like, you always see Jamar do it. You want to find that. Jamar especially, you're not going to find it, right? But you want guys running the ball that can do that and make a defensive back miss regularly, make a linebacker miss, break a tackle, get the extra couple of yards. And so that's the argument there. And I think they will do that. But yeah, the OL unfriendly part, it would have been nice if they had some explosive runs. I think that's how you fix the running game. Overall, the running game's been okay. They just haven't had the 20 plus, the 30, nothing like that. The 15 plus. It kind of died at like 10 to 12. And if things are well blocked, sometimes you need the running back to get 20, 25, 30, breakaway. And they haven't had that in the past couple of years. So that's certainly impacted it. But the unfriendliness of passing all the time, I don't think they would pass as much if they thought they could get more, if it was better to run the ball in certain situations. And most of the time, the past couple of years, that hasn't been the case. I think they can revamp things a bit and find ways to generate more explosives in the running game. And they've thought and tried to do that over the past couple of years. That's why I think they revamped that running back room, because that's part of it now. They need to do that. Something they haven't done. It's time for them to do it. And that means more carries for Chase Brown, regardless of who's in that room. He's going to get more carries this year for sure.
By the way,
I hope that made sense. I hope that was
you,
what you were looking for.
Shin Godzilla, for the
thank you.
Super
I appreciate
chat,
you.
I don't even know what to say about that. By the way, longest live chat I ever watched. It's the longest one
Thanks,
I think
Chris.
we've ever done. Like,
probably
I
is.
could be wrong about that. But yeah. So one, apologies for keeping everyone's Friday night held up here, but for those that are hanging around, unbelievable. Thank you so much. The other thing I'd throw out there is very quickly, Fort Myers, Florida, proud Princeton Viking class. Princeton, class of Garmin Electra. Two things that people probably don't know what I'm talking about if they're not from Cincinnati or above the age of 30. So
Jake Lisco also went to Princeton.
That's right. Ooh.
Garmin Electra. Jake Lisco is way more famous.
You're right. Let's go. We did the Frank Pollock. By the way, speaking of that, while we're on the topic, why do creators? I don't even know that we have a pattern for lives, but in this case, I will tell you quite honestly, it's because it was the time that James finally said okay after I asked him for about 3 months straight. So there you go.
No. I wanted to go
there was
live.
A facts. I don't even need to spend time on that.
Okay.
By the way, Michael Ruff, you've done super chat after super chat, and that is probably to James. Not
Michael, my man, appreciate
valuable.
You're killing it, man. And you bought 3 Enter the Jungle books. Appreciate you. No,
send him, write him something.
I was very pleased with the response. I feel like Bengals fans love the book. I think it's a perfect book for the 7-year-old that just found a liking to the Bengals and wants to learn about them, or the 70-year-old that's followed the Bengals their whole life. So thank you.
I do want to call this one out because they're referring to this Paul Alexander, Jackson Carman, and that interview is on our channel. If you search, I don't know if it's the exact one you're referring to, because I know he kind of made his rounds, Paul Alexander did, but if you look it up, it's the only video, if you search Paul Alexander, that will pop up probably if you search our channel. That's out there. So go check it out. We've had conversations about that to this day, James and I. So it's
I'm so mad. I have it. Oh God, I have it.
It's IKEA, yeah, and it wasn't intentional, but we clearly don't go to the same shirt store because,
there's the link to the Paul Alexander interview.
If you go, for those that are watching a replay or watching it live, it is in the live chat. James just sent a link to the Paul Alexander interview. What a way to spend a Friday night. Can you imagine? I envy all of you that you could be watching anything and you're going to watch that tonight. I cannot wait to hear your commentary. Leave new comments on that. I will lose my mind if I see a bunch of new comments on that video. I saved it for you. I saved that one.
Literally a Bengal tiger, and it says Cincinnati on the other side. The Tiger Rocks class. You can get it at rivertowninquiry.com. The Tiger Rocks glass is it's the only glass I drink bourbon out of, unless I'm at Andrew's. He dropped his because he has
I didn't
Jeremy
drop
Hill
it. I
hands.
set it down on granite.
Hard, yeah, hard. Okay, fine. You spiked it because you didn't score a touchdown.
Because I'm super strong. You know this.
Flag on the play, and so there you go. Look at
I don't have my camera on.
Michael ordered the rope hat too. He is all in.
Yeah, I saved that for you too. Well, for us, but yes, we shared that together. Look at us.
Mike is the man.
Dude, Michael's killing it. He's the MVP of this chat tonight.
What will it take for Lou Anarumo to get a head coaching job? I don't think it's going to happen.
This year, you're saying? What are you saying? Ever?
I just said it. No, I don't think it's going to happen. I said it last year. You know how hard it is for a 50-something-year-old defensive mind to get his first head coaching job? It's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. Like, he may get some interviews. I think it's going to be really hard for him to get a head coaching job. I really do.
Just saying, I just see everybody saying like Lou Dini and Lou. No one says Lou Day. I'm going to go ahead and trademark that now. Lou Day is also, but no one's going to get mad about that. But we all get mad about someone saying we should maybe restructure Mixon's contract, and then they do, but we're still mad. Okay. Anyway, let's see here. 2
minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. They're dropping. I feel it.
Yeah, I feel everyone deflating.
Do you have one or two more? And then
I've got more.
Do you guys think they update the midfield logo? I don't.
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't had anyone ask about that. Everyone wants the Tiger, and I don't disagree.
No, you know what they should? Tiger.
The leading
Chat
Tiger.
Bubble. Bengals. You're allowed.
Yeah, of course, James. Yeah. Hey, I would love that. I mean,
that's what they should do. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's exactly what they should do. They should sign Chris Jones and use the chat bubble at midfield. It's pretty simple.
I'm assuming that's referring to Anarumo, but
no, it's probably referring to Pollock.
Oh, okay. That was a very recent one, but
I hope it's Pollock.
Disturbance in the force. I wonder what happened there. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I'm going to flash this up, football related, because I've seen a number of punter comments and I just hadn't gotten to them yet.
Yeah.
You know, we know what we think about Brad Robbins, but what are we going to say about punter in general? Are we looking at draft? I'm not ruling it out, but I don't know that they're necessarily, we got to draft a punter. What do you think?
If they draft a punter, it's going to be the worst pick since they drafted Jackson Carman. Wow. You can't draft a punter again.
I don't know which of those.
I think
gets more
if they're really worried about punter, like to that extent, just sign Tommy Townsend and be done. Like, cut Mixon, sign Tommy Townsend, and then you still have a couple million left over. Restructure Orlando Brown Jr. He doesn't lose money when you do that, and then you have the same number, the cap number. Like, you could do that. Just saying, cut Nick Scott and then sign Tommy Townsend, whatever. Just so the Mixon haters don't think that I'm really hating on him, because I'm not. It's dumb. But I'm saying move the money around to pay a punter, but don't draft another one. Don't use more draft capital. What I would do, they have 9 draft picks. They got 2 6th rounders and comp wise. I would trade up. Use those to trade up. Go from 40. It probably wouldn't work at 40, but go from 115 to 107 and get your guy. Get the running back in round 4 by moving up. Like, do that and use that 6th rounder for that. So, yeah, that's what I would do. But as far as punter, I'm not drafting another punter. Brad Robbins, by the way, I think he could figure it out. I think there's a chance. I also think they'll have competition for him.
By the way, just quickly, I know we're kind of on the tail end of this chat, this live here, but someone made a comment about my audio levels being lower. It's the first I've heard of that. So if anyone wants to echo,
oh my God,
I'm just saying, I'm curious. I don't know. I didn't
Lord. Know. Are you serious? Like, we're
they
2 hours in, man. If they're low, they're low. If they're low, they're low.
I'm hearing.
Let's get the
what I'm reading is I'm hearing too much of James at in an optimal level, but Andrew, I'm not hearing at an optimal enough level because of all the James happened. That's what I'm just saying. That's what I'm reading.
Fine. If Boyd leaves, who fills the slot? Well, I'm open, John. No, I think it'll be Charlie Jones. I think it will be Jamar Chase moving to the slot more with Andre Yosavash and T. Higgins outside. And then I think whoever they draft, it's going to be a receiver that they think can do both. Play slot some, kind of like Jamar, that they can move around. I think they're going to take a receiver early. Like, pick 18 is still in the mix. I just don't think the board falls that way. It probably won't work. But pick 49, certainly pick 80. Wide receivers in the mix there. I like Malachi Corley. That's the guy out of Western Kentucky. Like, if he's there at 49, he might be a slot only. I'm worried about that, but man, he's pretty darn good. I also think that the Troy Franklin kid will potentially be there at 49. So that's another one that I could see.
I'm going to make this one quick. I've seen a few Tanner Hudson comments. Are we going to, what are we going to do about Tanner Hudson?
Yeah.
Is everyone sleeping on Tanner Hudson?
No, tight end is a need because they have no one under contract. Literally 0 guys. Like if they sign Andrew Fox Miller, he would be their first tight end right now. So re-signing Tanner Hudson certainly going to be something I think they do. Drew Sample, another one. Mitch Wilcox, I think they really like him too. Like they like those guys. And so it's just a matter of how much will they spend on them? How much could they go free agency wise out of Hayden Hurst? I think they're open to that as well. At the same time, they kind of want to draft one at some point. And I could see them drafting 2 if it falls right. So, but I do think that Tanner Hudson will be on the team. And I think Tanner Hudson and Drew Sample could both be signed before the draft. And then Mitch Wilcox is someone they could wait until after the draft to sign.
All right. Exclusive grand finale. I've got some things that have just been sitting on in the starred queue. Just some of these are so old, these people probably aren't even in the chat anymore. We're going to burn through these, and these aren't football related. And then if something super interesting pops up, we might answer one more question, but this is like kind of we're closing things out here. So here we go. Who said? Wait. Who said? Oh, that's right. Because you're referencing me being tight end. That just distracted me.
Can't catch though. By the way, and he's slow. AF. Get it? Okay. AF. Andrew Fox. AF.
I almost made a reference. I'm not going to do that. Quickly. You and I know what this means. I'll leave it at that. Yes, absolutely. Chili time.
Cheese fries
we
layered.
Thing
baby.
About the punter already. This is a reference to me talking about growing up in the Midwest and Catholicism. People really latched on to that one. Yes, of course.
No, dude. See, get the chicken.
You try giving up sins for instead of something you like. Sure, why not? Absolutely. Everything's a sacrifice and everything should be difficult. The spreadsheet that came before. Oh, yeah. Referring to your spreadsheet, you can plug that again very quickly. That's why I saved that one. Look at me saving things.
Yeah, I posted a link, free agent ranks, whole spreadsheet. Joe Goodberry, Jake Lisco, Mike Santagata, and myself. Shout out to Neil again for putting it together, doing all the entry. Awesome. But literally every free agent you could think of ranked 1 through 5. There are halves, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, all the way down to 5. So check it out. There's a link on allbengals.com. I retweeted it as well.
I would tell you to check out Chili Time. It doesn't exist anymore. RIP. Do you watch NHL and who do y'all root for? I don't. I've been to Cyclones games. It's just growing up in Cincinnati for so long. We didn't have NHL, an NHL team nearby. So what?
There you go. No, of course, got to root for the Blue Jackets, but no, I don't follow it. I don't have time. Like I follow NBA, and literally right now my life from a sports standpoint is NBA and NFL free agency. And that's it. There's some baseball in with the Reds and my Reds work stuff, but that's about it.
Michael has a super chat I'm going to get to really quickly here.
Yeah.
Killing it, Michael.
Jeez. Why the Bengals won't draft a person that believes the earth is flat or space isn't real. Oh man. Yeah. Who was that? There was a prospect that said that. Yeah. But
who was that?
I forget, but I don't think the Bengals would give a damn. Honestly, I don't think they care. I wouldn't care. Are you football smart? Can you play? Good character guy. If so, you checked all 3 boxes. You're going to work hard?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. That's it. Yeah. I love it though, Mike. I appreciate your support, man. You've been awesome.
Time,
Thank you.
The guy's buying books and if I run into this dude wearing I would lose it. I wouldn't even understand if it would blow my mind if I saw someone wearing a Cincinnati Bengals hat. Here we go. James, a lot of commentary on my audio. Thank you so much, everybody. But I'd like this one.
Yeah, baby.
Would Anders sound improve if Bengals drafted him? I'm sure I'd have the funds. I spent all the money on this shirt and not on my mic, apparently. Thanks.
This is so funny that you have
me of all people. I'm constantly like, James, dude, your audio, it's fading. I don't know what's going on. Like I'm coaching him through things, and now I'm being yelled at. And James is just loving life right now. Thank you for everyone for this. Man. What a treat.
Your crappy mic over there. We have the same mic.
Let's see, what else do we have here? I got to get this thing off of here. Just like the Drew Sample chat. Can you be
Ben
a Cavaliers
Sinnott,
fan? I like fan. I don't know.
Ben Sinnott, I like him. By the way. So yeah, we'll see on him. Cavaliers fan. What did it say?
Can you be a Cavaliers fan as a Bengals fan? I don't look at it. Yeah, I don't look at it that it's not like it's AFC North. And dude, I grew up in Orlando Magic fan. Nothing means anything when you're in Cincinnati and comes to NBA.
Can you be a Pacers fan and be a Bengals fan?
Of course.
All right. Well, the Colts and Bengals, they could be in the AFC Championship next year if Anthony Richardson is good. So,
yeah, they could.
But I'm just saying, like, it's
yeah.
You know who's not going to be in the AFC Championship game? The Browns. So it doesn't matter. There we go. Look at me twice this week getting after the Browns.
People take so much pleasure in the fact that we have the same.
Nah, he copied my shelves.
I did not. This is a deluxe. This is like, you should see. I mean, this is usually why James comes over here for the live streams, but he didn't want to this time. Kelly, you didn't. He's
like the generic version.
You showed up, and now you're the DD for the night. That's the only unfortunate thing for you. I'm sorry, Kelly, but thank you.
Andrew's the generic version. All right, you got it. One or two more.
Still talking about the shelves over there? My God. Thanks for answering. Yeah. I just put that up there because love this channel. Thank you so much. Yeah, we know. We all want. I want any tiger. I don't, not the bee. Just give me the. I know. Like it. Whatever. Yep. Thank you.
All right. I think this is about it. Andrew's lost in the chat.
Man-child caves. Hold on. These are COVID caves. This is circa 2020.
Yeah, I didn't live here in 2020. But that is a story we will tell for another day. We are going to have a ton free agency.
Penny Hardaway, Shaquille O'Neal, yes.
A ton for you. And you are the Penny Hardaway to me, Shaquille O'Neal.
No Power Ranger swag.
Is Cincinnati Bengals
to get him out of here.
Where, let's be honest.
This is what I go through whatever you want. Zelda, Ted Lasso.
Lord. Yeah.
You're still trying. You're still trying to close this out.
I am now. Yeah, we're 2 hours in. Look, appreciate everybody watching. You guys are the best. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for all of the support. It is our first live since before the season last year. We are going to do more lives, and we're going to have you covered. We are, and we're going to have you covered all free agency long. Anytime the Bengals make a signing, we're going to do a video. Andrew's going to hate me for it, and I don't care because that's what we're going to do for you. So ring the bell, hit that subscribe button. And for Andrew Fox Miller, you got to believe, baby.
James is saying live's happening. Believe it.
Cheers. Andrew, you got to hit the button. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.